Chapter 1239. As the wind raged, more than one-third of the Hall of Great Accomplishment was turned into dust. Feng Jixing was lying in the rubble. He was severely injured after just one attack. This man was so powerful that it was beyond imagination. Without waiting for Xiao to say anything, two figures flew over, and a dazzling sword light blasted towards the back of the Nine Serenities demon monarch. Apart from Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, perhaps no one else would have the guts to do so. Good. The Ninth Serenity Demon King laughed wildly. He suddenly shook his arms, and the demonic flame behind him surged. Instantly, it solidified into a blood-red rock layer. Everyone was shocked. Was this crazy old man planning to use this layer to block the double attack from the Goddess of Grace and the God of Love? The power of order and the fire of destruction burst out hundreds of sword lights and attacked the Ninth Serenity Demon King's back. Boom, boom, boom. The air was shaking and the fire shot up to the sky. Qin Yin's light and Tang Xiaoxi's fire were very hot. They almost swallowed the Ninth Serenity Demon King's body in an instant. However, the strong air waves made them step back, and they couldn't stand still in the air anymore. Demon Realm. In the air, Bai Feng and the Holy King were stunned. They were very nervous. The Ninth Serenity Demon King couldn't be killed by the two goddesses so easily, could he? As the flames dissipated, everyone was not disappointed. A figure emerged from the flames, and it was the Ninth Hell Demonic Monarch. The armor on his body had already been melted by the divine power of the two goddesses, revealing his powerful muscles. There was an insufferably arrogant smile on his face as he laughed loudly. Graceful Goddess Qin Yin, Love Goddess Tang Xiaoxi? Looks like you are no match for me. Get out of here. I don't want to kill such cute girls. Get out of here. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi looked at each other with their swords in their hands. They could see the worry in each other's eyes. This time, the demon realm was not a small matter. Just the 9 underworlds Demon King alone was already impressive. Moreover, there was also Ziyan who had the god-destroying pagoda, which was even more difficult to deal with. Right at this moment a cool breeze blew past their ears, bringing with it Chu Chu's words. Highnessine, Princess Shi, this old man will help you to restrain the 9 Nether Demon King, but I can only restrain him for a short while. Please use your strongest power immediately. Whether or not you can defeat the 9 Nether Demon King will depend on this attack. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi nodded at the same time. Divine power surged in their bodies. Qin Yin's East Flower sword shone brightly. Her strongest attack was very simple. It was the 7th attack of Shi Yan's 7 slashes, which was supported by the power of order, slaying God. Tang Xiaoxi, on the other hand, had a faint smile on her face. She had already entered the state of the demon god, and her palms were filled with flame-breaking fire. What are you two children waiting for? Why don't you scram? The 9 Serenities Demon Monarch laughed. Could it be that you want to be this old man's wife? Before he could finish laughing, a patch of green suddenly appeared in the air. Vines spun rapidly in the air, and even small white flowers grew on his body. What is this? The 9 Nether Demon King said coldly. He raised his palms and saw strands of grass seeping out from his blood vessels. It was really a little scary. Petty tricks. Deceitful tricks. The 9 Nether Demon King roared. Immediately, the demonic flames around him started to burn the vines that covered the sky. However, the vines were supported by Chu Chu's divine power. They didn't stop burning. Instead, they became tighter and tighter on the 9 Nether Demon King's limbs, making him unable to move. Now, the avatar in the air appeared behind the 9 Nether Demon King. It was like a huge tree hugging the 9 Nether Demon King. This was a rare opportunity. If they missed it, it would be difficult to kill the 9 Nether Demon King again. Whoosh! A sword light fell from the sky. It was Qin Yin's slaying god. Tang Xiaoxi attacked from the side. The flame-breaking fire swallowed the 9 Nether Demon King's body like a river. Boom, 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 boom. A series of piercingly cold explosions rang out continuously, and the powerful airwaves from the domain forced Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to retreat. Chu Chu had already escaped at the first possible moment. Amidst the continuous explosions brought about by the god-slaying strike, everyone could even hear the miserable howls of the demon monarch of the netherworld. 9 Nether. Bai Feng gritted her teeth. Why? Are you worried about him? Ziyan asked with a smile. Bai Feng shook her head. No. I'm just worried that the demon realm will lose a powerful expert. If the Nine Nether Demon King is killed like this, then he doesn't deserve to be the first vanguard of the demon realm. It's better to die than to live in shame. A group of saint kings and demon generals of the demon world stared at him. Everyone had their own thoughts. Originally, the 9 underworld demon kings' return to the world was bound to cause a dispute in the demon world. But if he died here, then the throne of the demon world lord would really be firmly held by that despicable person Ziyan. Under the suspicious gazes of the crowd, a man stood up in a sorry state amidst the light and flames. His body had been burnt to the point that it was not complete. His whole body was charred black, revealing pieces of bright red flesh. However, these exposed wounds were wriggling and healing rapidly, showing the astonishing vitality of the owner. The 9 Nether Demon King clenched his fists. His body was covered in demonic flames. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Your attacks can only damage my body, but not my bones. Come, since you want to die, then I will fulfill your wish. I will send you to the purgatory of reincarnation. As expected, he's not dead. Ziyan sneered. Don't let the 9 Nether Demon King be alone. All demon gods of the demon realm, charge. Flatten the Hall of Great Accomplishment, and destroy this so-called Eastern God realm. Jie Jie. In the sky, the Devil Luo army let out a low roar. Countless devil generals wielding long blades, iron spears, giant shields, sharp swords, riding on demon tigers, demon deer, giant elephants, and other mounts descended from the sky one after another. They led the Devil Luo army and began to attack those crippled gods who were guarding the various spirit mountains. Their strength was originally not on the same level. Now that they did not have Lin Muyu's holy martial power, the situation in the Eastern Heaven realm was already extremely critical. Ziyao frowned. At this moment, she had no choice but to fight. The power of balance surged in her palm. Suddenly, heaven and earth turned upside down. Countless Mara crashed into the spirit mountain. Ziyao raised her sword and soared into the sky. Together with Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, the 3 goddesses besieged the 9 Nether Demon King. Ha 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 ha. Every palm of the 9 Nether Demon King was extremely powerful and overbearing. The 3 goddesses had no choice but to deal with it carefully. Feng Jixing crawled out from the rubble and sat on the broken roof. Panting heavily, he suddenly stabbed his saber into the ground and stood up. His palms were perfectly round, and gusts of wind force once again wreaked havoc in the air, attacking and killing. Other than that, the 6 great untitled righteous gods, who were led by Long Su, also rushed up to the clouds and fought with Mo Luo and the demon generals. The entire East Heavens quickly became a purgatory on earth. Die. Ziyan descended from the sky, and the god-destroying pagoda descended. It directly enveloped the body of a righteous god. In an instant, his body disappeared into thin air. The power of the god-destroying pagoda became even more domineering. Be *****. Long Su roared angrily. His long blade carried the majestic power of the earth and slashed toward Ziyan. Heh, can a Mahayana heavenly Tao god be so weak? Ziyan laughed loudly. With just a light punch, he broke Long Su's long saber with a kacha sound. Then he followed up with another punch, directly penetrating Long Su's abdomen. For a moment, blood splattered everywhere, and it was a tragic sight to behold. Another Mahayana heavenly Tao righteous god had fallen. It seemed, the speed of the heavenly melody scroll's apotheosis was not as fast as the demon realm's killing speed. Kill. Ziyan's eyes were already filled with viciousness. He had completely forgotten his vow to become a good demon. Not far away, a blood-red storm was wreaking havoc in the sky, tearing groups of Mara into pieces. The one who launched it was a beautiful woman. It was the masterpiece of prophecy goddess Chu Yao. She controlled the blood-red prophecy storm to attack. In this kind of chaotic battle, she was very outstanding. However, this also made it easy for her to be targeted by Ziyan. Courting death. Without another word, Ziyan raised his palm lightly, and the god-destroying pagoda appeared. Layers of tarot towers carried the destructive storm and attacked. He shouted, "Prophecy goddess, die." Chu Yao's delicate body trembled. Her body seemed to be locked and she couldn't move. "Yao, be careful." Feng Jixing roared angrily. He rose from the ground and blocked in front of Chu Yao like a sharp arrow. The Azure Dragon and Scarlet Phoenix blades were raised horizontally. A thunderous storm blasted out and went straight for the energy of the god-destroying pagoda. Boom! How could Feng Jixing block the god-destroying pagoda? The thunderous storm was instantly destroyed, and a beam of light poured down on him and Chu Yao. "It's over, it's over." Feng Jixing's heart was filled with coldness. His body couldn't move, and he couldn't help but wail in his heart. Who could predict the changes of the world? Perhaps even prophecy goddess Chu Yao didn't know that the two of them would die like this. However, at this moment, a figure descended from the sky with a vigorous starry storm. Pum! A single strike destroyed the energy of the god-destroying pagoda. His body knelt in the air and his cloak fluttered. It was the 7 Luminaries' demon emperor. Only he had the strength to forcefully destroy the attack of the god-destroying pagoda. "It's you again, 7 Luminaries." Ziyan roared angrily, and his face was filled with malevolence. "Do you think you can stop me? Come, god-destroying pagoda, destroy this mad god for me." Wung wung wung. The god-destroying pagoda let out a piercing whistle, and the entire demon realm turned dark. The energy was almost instantly drained by the god-destroying pagoda. The golden red flames surged, and the next attack was already locked on to the 7 Luminaries' demon emperor. "Feng Jixing, Chu Yao, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you leaving? Do you want to stay and die together?" The 7 Luminaries' demon emperor roared and raised his arm. Panga's axe glowed resplendently, and the surrounding was surrounded by beams of starry energy. This was the prelude to the 7 Luminaries' stars transformation. Feng Jixing turned around and left the sky with Chu Yao. At the same time he said in a low voice, "Thank you, Demon Emperor." The 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor looked at Ziyan with a frivolous expression and grinned. "The Mahayana Heavenly Tao's main god can't die anymore." "Is that so?" Ziyan laughed out loud. "Then you shall die first." Boom! The two beams of light collided, but it was obvious that the god-destroying pagoda had the upper hand. It quickly dissipated the power of the 7 Luminaries, and the beam of light rained down on the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor's body like raging flames. In an instant, the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor's cloth cloak was burned to ashes, and his armor was also burned red. However, the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor stood there motionlessly, and a pair of cold eyes looked at Ziyan. Instead, he suddenly swung the Pango axe in his hand. Pung! The axe hit the 9 Luminaries' Demon Emperor's back. "Io, which bastard sneak attacked me?" The 9 Luminaries' Demon Emperor was furious. Then he received another fierce attack from Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. Instantly, his aura became even weaker, and he could only retreat. Buzz buzz buzz. The biting cold power of the god-destroying pagoda continuously attacked the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor's body, but everyone could see that the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor gritted his teeth and endured the strong pain. Golden bone patterns appeared around his body. This was the unyielding bones, the ability of the mad god. Without this unyielding bones, the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor would have been killed by the god-destroying pagoda long ago. Are you guys still waiting to watch the show? The 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor roared, "Xiao Sunfeng, Qin Yin Tang Xiaoxi Feng Jixing, take the Eastern Celestial Realm seeds and leave Mount Deshang. We can't defend this place anymore. Find a new place. If you guys don't die, the Eastern Celestial Realm won't die. Don't worry about me, I'll be here soon." As he spoke, the 7 Luminaries' Demon Emperor reached out and grabbed the Pangu axe that was circling back. He shouted in a low voice, "Split the sky, Pangu axe." Boom! A huge spatial crack appeared in front of them. This was one of the Pangu axe's abilities. It could split open a spatial door. Chapter 1240. Let's go. Under Xiao's command, Chu Yao, Qin Yin, and the rest flew into the spatial gate. Feng Jixing wielded his dual blades, and once again used wind to block the pursuing Mara's army. Hundreds of experts guarding the Hall of Great Accomplishment entered the alternate dimension. Trying to escape? No way. Chase after them. Ziyan roared. Baifeng, Holy King, and the rest flew down. Who dares to chase after us? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor roared. He raised his left hand, and a storm blasted through the air in front of him. It turned into a blazing river and blocked Baifeng, Holy King, and the rest. No one dared to cross this river. Otherwise they would be killed. The might of the mad god's 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was not just for show. Ziyan smiled sinisterly. 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, if you send them off, who will send you off? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood. The fighting spirit in his eyes burned even brighter. He held Panga's axe and laughed. There's no need. I come and go as I please. Do you scum think you can keep me here? Is that so? A cold voice came from behind the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. It was the voice of the World Destroyer Holy Emperor, one of the 3 Holy Emperors of the demon world. Swish. An ice blade blasted straight at the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's back. However, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor had already predicted it. He dodged it and stretched out his axe to hook God Destroyer Holy Emperor's extreme frost. He pulled it back and instantly switched places with the World Destroyer Holy Emperor. He laughed and said, "Come have a taste of the power of the God Destroyer Pagoda." How could the Holy Emperor have thought of such a move? His body was quickly burned into ashes by the God-destroying pagoda. On the other hand, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor disappeared from the sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment. The Holy Emperor's screams reverberated through the air. Finally, when the body of the Holy Emperor of World Annihilation turned into a cloud of smoke, the people of the demon realm were all stunned. The Netherworld Demon King snorted coldly, then lowered his head and rushed into the Hall of Great Accomplishment, as if he didn't want to talk to Ziyan anymore. As for Baifeng Holy King, he frowned and said, "Ancestor Emperor Ziyan, why didn't you retract the power of the God-exterminating pagoda? With your cultivation, you should be able to control the God-exterminating pagoda. Then, world-exterminating Holy Emperor wouldn't have died." Really? Ziyan smiled faintly. What if I don't want to retract this attack from the God-destroying pagoda? This? Baifeng, don't forget who you are with. Ziyan laughed coldly. Originally, I only needed to use the God-destroying pagoda for a while to melt Violent God's arrogance. That would have been enough to kill him. However, it was that trash, world-exterminating Holy Emperor who interfered and let Violent God go. What's the point of keeping such trash alive? Furthermore, if world-exterminating Holy Emperor doesn't die, how can I become the perfect master of the demon realm? As he said that, Ziyan took a deep breath. Instantly, the remnants of world-exterminating Holy Emperor's demonic energy in the air were sucked into his nose. It was as if he had just eaten a feast, and his face was filled with enjoyment, devouring and the conversation between the Holy Emperor. It was also through this method that Ziyan became so powerful that he didn't even care about the Demon King of the 9 underworlds. After about an hour, Ziyan had completely absorbed the remnants of world-exterminating Holy Emperor's demonic energy. He felt even more energized. Looking at Mount Desheng below, he said, "All right, order the Demon Realm's army to use this Mount Desheng as a base and start spreading out to the surrounding spirit mountains. Send out 2 winged Mara to search for the whereabouts of Xiao, Qinyin, and the rest. We must eradicate the Eastern Celestial Realm." Yes, Ancestor Emperor. The moonlight was as red as blood. On this night, the Eastern Celestial Realm fell. Countless people were killed, and there were at least 20,000 of them. The once prosperous Eastern Celestial Realm was about to be destroyed. At this time on Mount Buhai, which was an unknown distance away from the Eastern Celestial Realm, several figures landed like flowing lights. Among them were Xiao Feng Jixing, Qinyin, Tang Xiaoxi, and the rest. The remaining gods of the Eastern Celestial Realm were all here. "Where is this?" Qinyin asked as she looked at the surrounding forest and fertile land. Xiao glanced at the northern region Tianluan and said, "Mount Buhai, a barren land located at the border between the Eastern Divine Realm and the Northern Divine Realm. It is very difficult to detect, and can be used as a temporary shelter. Let's not talk too much. Let's find a hidden place to stay first. Many people are injured and need treatment. Do we have anyone who is good at medicine? Me. Chu Yao walked over while holding her injured arm and said, I worked in the spiritual medicine department when I was in the mortal realm. I know how to treat people. That's great. Xiao looked to the east and couldn't help but say, but I don't know how the demon emperor is doing. He's coming. In the air, a group of figures crashed straight into the forest, creating a long ravine. It was the 7 luminaries demon emperor, who was holding Panga's axe. He slowly stood up and said, Is this place safe? It's still safe. The one who spoke was Nu Shur, the only demon in the Eastern Divine Realm. She blinked her eyes and said very seriously, The aura around here is very chaotic. It is almost cut off from the outside. The ability of the people in the demon realm to sense auras is far inferior to the Mahayana heavenly Tao. So as long as no one snitches, we are safe here. That's good. This place will be the temporary shelter of the Eastern Celestial Realm. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's eyes were cold. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth again. He said, Let's go and find a cave to rest in. Chu Yao, help me treat my internal organs. Yes, demon emperor. Everyone's eyes were filled with deep worry. Not only did they lose 2 righteous gods in this battle, even a peerless expert like the 7 luminaries demon emperor was seriously injured. The demon realm could be said to be like the sun in the sky now. No one in the 4 celestial realms could stop them. One day later, Western Divine Realm, Temple of Light. Shi Yan sat on the Divine King's throne and looked at everyone indifferently. She said, The Eastern Celestial Realm has been destroyed. The 7 luminaries demon emperor, Ziyao, Xiyin Shaoxi, and the other righteous gods have escaped. Their whereabouts are unknown. Tell me, what should we do now? In the past, when the Eastern Divine Realm was still here, we could still join forces to fight against the enemy. Now, only the Western Divine Realm and the Northern Heaven Realm are left. Li Fei said, Lord Qiyan, even the 7 luminaries demon emperor, a first-tier superior god, was defeated. It can be seen how terrifying the power of the demon realm is now. In addition to the increasingly powerful ancestor Emperor Ziyan, it is said that there is also the 9 underworlds demon king. This person is an elder of the demon realm, and his strength is unfathomable. In the battle at Mount Desheng, the 9 underworlds demon king fought against Xiao, Xiyin, and Shaoxi without being defeated. It can be seen how powerful this person is. If Ziyan orders the demon realm to attack the Western Divine Realm in full force, what are the chances of us winning? I'm afraid we have no chance of winning. Xiyan smiled bitterly. Eva smiled faintly. I feel that Ziyan will not be in a hurry to attack the Western Divine Realm. Why? Xiyan asked. Eva's blazing angel cloak swayed slightly. She smiled elegantly and said, Ziyan is a despicable, shameless and narrow-minded person. He will not allow anyone to pose the slightest threat to him. In the battle at Mount Desheng, we clearly saw through the illusory pawn that at least one person could fight against Ziyan's god-destroying tower without dying. That person is the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Therefore, what Ziyan wants to do the most now is to find the 7 luminaries demon emperor and kill him. Therefore, I feel that as long as the 7 luminaries demon emperor is not found, our Western Divine Realm will be safe. Xiyan said, I can't sense Xian's aura anymore. Perhaps she has gone into hibernation and doesn't want to be discovered. The same goes for Xiao and Shaoxi. The Eastern gods have entered a state similar to hibernation. They don't want to be found by the demon realm. What can we do now? Find them first, protect them. Or other choices? Terralyn said, Lady Xiyan, the most important thing we should do now is to excavate and find primordial light stones to create more old gods. Otherwise, we won't be able to compete with the demon realm. Xiyan smiled faintly. How strong do we need to be to compete with the demon realm now? Terralyn thought for a while and said, Eva Blazing Angel has comprehended the heavenly way of Mahayana. Together with Lady Xiyan, we may be able to fight against Ziyan and the 9 Serenities Demon King. As for the rest, we need at least 5,000 battle angels to have a 50% chance of winning. But we only have a few dozen old gods now. It's simply a drop in the bucket. Even a 10 million demon realm army can't resist. Shi Yan seemed a little tired and asked, "How many demon realm armies are there in the Eastern Divine Realm?" Li Fei said, "About 30 million. Shi Yan said faintly, "It seems that the fall of the Eastern Divine Realm has become a foregone conclusion. Is there any news of you? He has been cultivating outside for a long time. If he returns, this martial god might be able to reverse the situation." "Not yet." Eva shook her head and said, "Searching for a new kind of power is a very difficult thing. Even if you is talented, he can't do it in a day. We still need to give him more time and patience." "Yes." Shi Yan pursed her red lips and said, "Send 5 battle angels to secretly search for the whereabouts of the Eastern Divine Realm gods. Contact them as soon as possible. If they need help, the Western Divine Realm will definitely go all out." "Yes." Eternal Sword Domain. The back mountain of the Bright Sword Forest seemed to be always misty and rainy. Lin Muyu sat on a rock and entered a state of meditation. This state had lasted for an entire day. Beside him, Leah held a green umbrella to shield him from the wind and rain. Leah found that Lin Muyu's cultivation seemed to be regressing. During meditation, he didn't even open up his aura to block the wind and rain. Instead, he let the wind and rain hit him like a stone statue. She bent down to look at Lin Muyu's face worriedly and said, "Master hasn't woken up for a day and a night. Could he have become stupid from cultivating?" "Master, talk to Leah." Lin Muyu still didn't say anything. After a long while, he finally opened his eyes slowly. His mind was clear and clear. He stretched his arms and said, "Leah, how long have I been meditating?" "1 day and 1 night. Leah pouted and said, "Master has been ignoring me all this time." "Aha, sorry. I was immersed in my state of mind and didn't hear your voice." "Then, has Master's proud sword technique improved?" "Yes." Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "About 70% soon." "Ah?" Leah wants to see. "How do you want to see?" "The power of the proud sword technique." "This," Lin Muyu thought for a while and said with a smile, "Watch carefully." He stood up and stared at a mountain peak about 2,000 meters away. His body was majestic and unmoving, but his eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent, as if a sword had swept past. Boom! Boom! In the distance, an entire mountain peak suddenly fell horizontally, as if it had been cut diagonally by a sword. Leah opened her mouth and was speechless. Chapter 1241. The sky above the Hall of Great Accomplishment was shrouded in thick clouds. This place had been occupied by the demon realm, so the spiritual power here was almost vacuum-like. Mahayana heavenly gods could not cultivate here at all. Kiki. In the sky, groups of Mara wings formed into battle groups that swept across the sky, looking ferocious and twisted. In the clouds, a flame gradually burned, and then a strong figure appeared. It was a man about 25 years old with a long spear in his hand. He had sword-like eyebrows and bright eyes. The tip of the spear was covered in flames, and the power of the Mahayana heavenly gods was dense around him. This man was none other than Zhao Ding, the god of fire who had just ascended half a day ago. He was a second-class superior god. However, this outstanding expert in the lower planes found that things had changed when he came to the heavenly realm. The gods were long gone, replaced by countless Mara wings. Is the Eastern divinity gone? Zhao Ding's eyes dimmed. If even the Eastern divinity is gone, where can I go after ascending here? What kind of god is this? It's no different from a wandering ghost. While he was deep in thought, a strong aura suddenly came. It was a demon general riding a war tiger. This demon general was too close, and had already discovered Zhao Ding's existence. He waved his sword and roared with hundreds of Mara wings. There's something strange in this cloud. Tear it apart now. Mara wings turned into a bunch of sharp arrows that pierced through the clouds. In an instant, the clouds were scattered and diluted. Zhao Ding could no longer hide. He stood straight in the air with his spear in hand. What's wrong with the Eastern divinity? What did you bastards do to the Eastern divinity? Kiki, it's actually a fish that escaped the net. The demon general laughed. Looks like you're also a god. Unfortunately, you've come to the wrong place. Mount Great Accomplishment is already the territory of the demon realm. Since you're here to die, don't think about leaving. Little ones, kill them. The Mara wings opened their ferocious mouths and roared as they charged at the god of fire. Courting death. Zhao Ding's gaze turned cold. As his spear swept out, a river of flames appeared, instantly swallowing over 100 of the winged Mara, burning them to ashes and scattering their souls. Motherf ****. The demon general was slightly stunned. Only then did he realize that the person in front of him was not an ordinary upright god, but an upright god with a title and special divine power. Otherwise he would not be so powerful. After all, he had already seen the power of third-rank inferior upright gods without a title like the dragon sequence. It was just so. However, the person in front of him was completely different. His power was at the same level as Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi and Feng Jixing. Blow the magic shell and call for reinforcements. The demon general raised his palm and ordered loudly. Not far away, a winged Mara wings puffed out its mouth and blew an ear-piercing sound. Suddenly, purple clouds in the distant sky began to move over. Those were not ordinary clouds, but clouds that contained countless Mara troops. Once the army arrived, no matter how strong Zhao Ding was, he would not be able to fight against them. Where are the gods of the Eastern God realm? Zhao Ding asked in a low voice. I don't know. The demon general roared. You don't know? Zhao Ding shot forward like an arrow, his spear piercing through the demon general's left arm with a poochie sound. With a flick of his wrist, flames sprayed out, directly burning off the demon general's arm. He continued to ask, where did the gods of the Eastern Celestial Realm go? Speak. The demon general's face was pale. I don't know, I'm just a nobody. Humph. Zhao Ding's spear swept out, directly cutting the demon general's body from his battle tiger into two. The tip of the spear was filled with the power of dragon fire. It was not something an ordinary person could block. However, at this moment, a series of pa sounds came from behind. It was the prelude to traveling through the plains. In the blink of an eye, a beautiful figure appeared behind him. She was wearing soft silver armor, and her exquisite figure was very alluring. Even the way she walked in the air was so enchanting. It was the most beautiful woman in the demon realm. Holy King Baifeng. He another soft-skinned god coming to die? Holy King Baifeng put one hand on her hip and smiled seductively. Who are you? Zhao Ding did not panic. He did not even have the intention to leave. I am Baifeng, one of the holy kings of the demon realm, a direct subordinate of ancestor Emperor Ziyan. Holy King Baifeng smiled faintly. And who are you? I am the newly promoted fire god Zhao Ding. Oh, so it's Lord Fire God. Baifeng giggled. If I were you, I would immediately escape from this place as fast as possible. This isn't some amusement park. It's not a place where you can come and go as you please. It's fine if I'm here, but if Lord Ancestor Emperor were to come, you would only be crushed to ashes. Is that so? Zhao Ding squinted his eyes and smiled. But this is the Eastern God realm, my future home. Where can I go if I leave this place? Why don't you understand? The smile on Baifeng's face suddenly disappeared. He unsheathed the sword at his waist and slashed out. Zhao Ding's reaction speed was extremely fast. He raised his long spear to block. Instantly, a pung sound rang out. Zhao Ding had not used his full strength. The two of them were actually evenly matched. However, the endless flames and demonic flames continued to collide, emitting a majestic sound. Under the cover of this sound, Baifeng looked straight at his opponent and said, "The laws of the world have always been balanced. I don't want the demon realm to be destroyed, nor do I want the god realm to be destroyed. Although Mount Desheng has been conquered, the gods of the Eastern God realm have already escaped. They are hiding in an unknown place. If you are smart enough, hurry up and leave. Don't seek death here. Otherwise, if Ancestor Emperor Ziyan or the 9 Underworlds Demon King comes, you, the fire god, will become history." Zhao Ding was shocked. He pondered for a few seconds and understood Baifeng's words. He suddenly pulled out his spear and shot it towards Baifeng Holy King. Suddenly, with a dang, Baifeng Holy King retreated a few hundred meters. Zhao Ding also flew away from Mount Desheng under the cover of a soaring flame. In the blink of an eye, He disappeared without a trace. Humph. Baifeng Holy King looked at Zhao Ding's direction indifferently. However, at this moment, a figure slowly condensed behind her. It was Ziyan who was holding the god-slaying tower. Immediately, Mara on both sides knelt down and shouted, "Long live the god!" Baifeng Holy King's body trembled, but she didn't say a word. Ziyan sneered and said, "Baifeng, you seem to be sympathizing with these Mahayana heavenly Tao's main gods?" I didn't. Ancestor Emperor, please investigate. You didn't? If you didn't, why did you let this fire god Zhaoding go? Baifeng's body trembled again and said, I just couldn't bear it. Ancestor Emperor, please give the order. I will immediately bring people to kill this fire god. No need. Ziyan sneered. A mere fire god is nothing to be afraid of. In my eyes, there are only 3 people worth mentioning. Oh, which 3? Berserk God 7 luminaries, Moon God Shiyan, Martial God Lin Muyu. In this world, only these 3 people can make me look them in the eye. Ziyan sneered. It's a pity that Lin Muyu seems to have disappeared suddenly. Shiyan is hiding in the Western Divine Realm. She must be scared out of her wits. Now, even the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor is hiding. The 6 realms are so boring now. Baifeng smiled faintly and said, I'm afraid that the 3 of them are no match for Ancestor Emperor. After all, the god-slaying tower is almost perfect. So, are you worried that I will kill all these main gods and unify this world of light? Ziyan's eyes were full of provocation, as if Baifeng would die if he said anything wrong. Baifeng frowned and suddenly knelt down slowly and said, Ancestor Emperor, please understand. Baifeng is only a mere holy king. I have been following Ancestor Emperor since the Fekta Temple. At that time, Ancestor Emperor said that the demon world must take revenge on those gods who represent justice. But now, there are countless gods who have died under the demon world's army. Just the eastern and northern heaven realms alone have more than 100,000 crippled gods. It should be enough, not like now. Now what? Ziyan raised his eyebrows. Baifeng murmured. Now, His Majesty, the Ancestor God Emperor, has not only sent 20 million devil luos to attack the 4 great god realms, but he has also attacked the planes under their jurisdiction. The mortals of tens of thousands of planes have been slaughtered and devoured by the devil luos, and the situation is indescribably miserable. This is not revenge, but sin. Didn't Your Majesty, the Ancestor God Emperor, say that even devils have their own paths? If there is no Tao, where is the future of the demon world? Baifeng. Ziyan suddenly said sternly. You said so many treasonous words. Do you know that this is a capital crime? I know. Baifeng knelt there quietly and said, When I said these words, I was already prepared to face death. Ziyan snorted coldly and said, I can tell you that my Tao is to devour and take revenge. I sent many Mara to kill in the mortal world, in order to collect more demon chi and evil chi. The stronger the evil chi, the stronger my power. If my Mara can slaughter all the planes under the jurisdiction of the 6 worlds, my power will be enough to fight against the ancestor of the sky beyond heaven, or even surpass him. Don't you want to see the day when the demon world unifies the 3,000 worlds? Baifeng murmured. If everything is built on killing, what's the use of unifying the worlds? Ha 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 ha. Ziyan sneered and looked coldly at Baifeng, the Holy King, and said, You disappoint me too much. Weakness will weaken your power. As the saying goes, wolves eat meat when they travel 1,000 miles, dogs eat shit when they travel 1,000 miles. Look at you now. You look so sanctimonious. Do you want to ascend to the Mahayana heavenly Tao? Baifeng, I won't kill you, but I will keep you alive. I will let you see how I rely on killing and conquering to achieve the Tao of the demon world. I will let you see how I tear those hypocritical righteousness into pieces. Baifeng. Chapter 1242. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. The invasion and conquest of the demon realm was still ongoing, and the conferment of the Mahayana Heavenly Way Heavenly Sound Scroll was also ongoing. In 2 months, a total of 27 righteous gods appeared. Among them, 7 were righteous gods with titles and special abilities. Weicho, titled God of Justice, first-tier middle god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Lu Kuei, titled God of Contracts, second-tier middle god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Carolyn, titled Goddess of Stars, third-tier upper god, belonging to the Western Divine Realm. Hangu, titled God of Tides, second-tier middle god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Te Luo, titled God of Ice, first-tier middle god, belonging to the Northern Divine Realm. Xia Yan, titled God of Rain, third-tier upper god, belonging to the Eastern Divine Realm. Luo Wen, titled God of Thunder, second-tier upper god, belonging to the Southern Divine Realm. Among the 27 new righteous gods, God of Thunder, Goddess of Stars, and God of Rain were the strongest, followed by Weiqiu and Te Luo. Among them, Weiqiu had the ability to punish. However, the new righteous gods couldn't really change the situation of the divine realm. The demon realm was getting stronger and stronger. Ziyin absorbed the evil aura from the massacre, and his strength was getting stronger day by day. Coupled with the increasingly perfect god-destroying tower, there were few righteous gods in the world who could fight against Ziyin. Not a sea or a mountain, evergreen all year round. Swoosh. In the sky, a figure dragged a long trail of clouds as he flew to the ground. At the same time, he was dragging the corpse of a huge goshawk. This goshawk was ridiculously huge, weighing at least 500 kilograms. However, under the righteous god's dragging, it was like carrying a chicken. As the sound of grass being crushed was heard, the person landed on an empty space in the forest and dragged the goshawk to a straw shed in front of them. He said with respect, "Your Highness, I've returned from hunting. This goshawk is very heavy, and it'll be enough for everyone to eat for 3 to 5 days." In the straw shed, Qinin walked out and said with a smile, "Thanks for your hard work, Weiqiu. You don't have to be so polite. You don't have to call me your highness anymore." But Weiqiu said helplessly, "I'm already used to calling you that. I don't know when to call you that. Your highness, please continue as usual. Before Lin General returns, let me call you that." "All right, I can't do anything to you," Qinin said. "Send Eagle to the kitchen. Let Big Brother Feng and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor take care of it. Many of the trash gods are starving. They urgently need something to eat." Yes, this subordinate understands. Qinin also accompanied him over. The so-called kitchen was actually an illegal building under a towering tree. Once they saw Weiqiu dragging the giant eagle over, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor smiled. He put away the knife in his hand and said, "Feng Jixing, it's time to get to work. Come over and kill the eagle with me for the meat. You, God of Tides, Hangu, summon a stream to wash the meat." Hangu had a look of helplessness. I'm a god of tides, but this is all I can do." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor glared and said, "What are you throwing a tantrum for? I'm the king of the gods of the Eastern God Realm, but I'm still here killing chickens for you bastards. Have I ever thrown a tantrum? Since you can't beat them, then just bear with it. Don't throw a tantrum, it's useless." Hangu was speechless. "Yes, your highness, this subordinate will obey your teachings." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor looked to the other side and said, "Where's fire god Zhaoding? Let him come back and start cooking soup. Don't be idle all day. When it's time to work, you still have to work." "Yes, Demon Emperor." A person came out from the bushes, holding a spear in one hand and a few dead wild rabbits in the other. He laughed loudly. "Look, Demon Emperor, the prey in Mount Buhai is really fat. A wild rabbit weighs over 100 pounds. How is this a fucking wild rabbit? It's more like a wild bull." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor stared and said, "Have you ever seen a wild bull that only weighs 100 pounds? That's not a wild bull, that's a calf. You're the most ignorant and unreliable fire god I've ever seen. Don't say anything else. Hurry up and boil the water." "Yes." A group of people sat around the giant eagle's corpse and began to pluck its feathers. This group of people seemed to be used to this kind of mortal life, and were actually enjoying it. None of the goddesses made a move. Qin Xiao and Tang Xiaoxi just gathered their skirts and sat on stone chairs to watch. Xiao said, "Demon Emperor, did you know that the Northern Heaven Realm was attacked a few days ago and thousands of useless gods died?" "I know, It's just a small attack from the demon realm. As long as Ziyan and the 9 Underworld's Demon King don't personally go, they won't be able to take down Blackrock City. We don't have to worry. Looks like. Ziyao pursed her red lips and said. Looks like Ziyan's attention is still on us. These days, his tens of millions of Mara have almost all been scattered, looking for traces of us all over the world. Will we be discovered here? Don't worry. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor looked at the sky and said, Do you see that light blue enchantment? That is the starry enchantment that I have painstakingly practiced for many years. Not to mention Mo Luo, even if Ziyan flies over from the sky, he may not necessarily be able to see us on Mount Sea Mountain, let alone those Mo Luo. In front of the starry enchantment, the Mo Luo army is simply blind. Don't worry, by the way, you must preserve your northern heavenly will well. Otherwise, you will still be able to use the northern heavenly wheel to find us, and it will be enough to see through the mystery of the starry enchantment. Yes, the northern sky will has always been well hidden. Don't worry. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor said as he plucked his feathers. I don't know how that brat Yu is progressing. If he doesn't come back, we won't be able to counterattack. However, the tens of millions of Mara in the demon world aren't scary. The most scary ones are Ziyan 9 Nether, and that god-destroying tower. As long as we destroy these 3 great artifacts, we can return to Mount Deshang and rebuild the order of the Eastern God world. Yes, not far away, Qinin moved her red lips and said, Big brother, you will be back soon, I can feel it. That's for the best. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor laughed. After secretly cultivating for so long, that brat must have reached a new level of realm. In addition to the power of the holy martial arts, Yu's position in the god world is really important. And yes, this eagle is actually a male, it actually has eggs. Demon world, empty space. There was nothing here, not even air. The ground was barren. There were no buildings or mountains. There was only nothingness. It was so nothingness that it made people feel a little flustered. Sha. Amidst the sound of footsteps, 2 figures slowly walked forward. One was Ziyan, and the other was the Netherworld Demon Monarch. Senior 9 Nether, is there really the treasure you mentioned here? Yes. The Netherworld Demon Monarch nodded and said, Your Majesty might not know this, but this is a treasure that all sovereigns want to obtain. Even in the sky beyond heaven, those old things would definitely want to take it for themselves. What kind of treasure is it? Ziyan squinted his eyes and smiled. 9 Nether Demon Emperor also smiled. An invincible army. Army. Ziyan was stunned. Doesn't the demon world already have Mara army? Are tens of millions of devils not enough? You just had to bring me to this plane of nothingness where even birds don't shit. You made me so flustered. 9 Nether Demon Emperor couldn't help but smile. Your Majesty, the Mahayana Heavenly Path's gods are like dumplings being dropped into a pot. Ice God, Contract God, Fire God, and so on are appearing one after another. Does your Majesty really want to wait until the Mahayana Heavenly Path's laws and gods are all sealed before you realize that the demon world's power is not enough to keep them in check? Only by obtaining this army can we be invincible. Alright, tell me honestly, what kind of army is this? An army of only 100 people. A look of yearning and hope appeared on the Netherworld Demon Monarch's face as he said, This army is invincible and indestructible. Even when facing the ancient god race, they could easily destroy them. Before they were sealed, they were the strongest army in the 6 realms. What kind of army is this? The Protoss army of the ancient demon realm. The ruler also has another name, the Incubus Gladiators. Each of the 100 Incubus is an outstanding gladiator. Even if they were to face an upper-level god, they wouldn't be a problem. Moreover, among the 100 Incubus, there are 10 extremely tyrannical Incubus vanguards. Every one of them has strength that is second only to a first-class upper god. Oh. Ziyan's eyes turned cold. Aren't these rulers' army invincible? Can they be controlled? If not, I think it's better not to break the seal. Your Majesty, please rest assured. The method to break the seal is a drop of blood from the demon world's lord. Once they break the seal, They will immediately swear loyalty to your majesty. What do you get out of this? Ziyin was a smart person. Nine Nether Demon Emperor laughed and said, "Of course it's great. After this old man helps your majesty conquer the 6 realms, your majesty, please promise me that you will be the ruler of the 6 realms. However, the demon world must be handed over to this old man. Your majesty is the world ruler. And this old man is the demon world ruler." "Ha ha ha, old man, what a good plan. We're here." The 9 underworlds demon monarch pointed forward. There was a huge iron box. The surface of the iron box was filled with complex runes, he said. "The rulers are sealed inside. Your majesty, please undo the seal." "Okay." Ziyin stepped on the iron box. His eyes were filled with a faint coldness. "Nine Nether, don't play tricks. I don't care how strong these rulers are. If they don't follow my will, I will use the god-destroying pagoda to completely destroy them." "Yes, your majesty, please rest assured." Ziyin raised his finger. Plop! A drop of blood fell on the iron box. Immediately, the runes on the box shone brightly. Ziyin couldn't help but fly into the air. Boom! The huge iron box exploded. One by one, black figures stood up from the ground. Their eyes had a blood-red luster. Each of them had a cold gaze and killing intent. At the same time, that biting cold power made even Ziyin, the lord of the demon world, feel a great threat. Just like what Nine Nether said, these rulers and nightmare warriors' strength had reached a terrifying level. Nine Nether Demon Emperor's eyes were calm. "Come and see your master." The group of nightmare warriors all knelt to Ziyin. "Greetings, master." "Ha ha ha ha." Ziyin laughed so hard that tears almost came out. Good, good, good. This is great. From now on, you are my royal army. If there is an enemy that needs to be eliminated, I will send you." "Thank you, master. Let's go. Follow me back to the demon world and wait for my orders." "Yes, master." The nightmare warriors flew up one by one, flying into the distance along with the purple flames. Only 10 people were left behind. These 10 people had gloomy eyes. They were the legendary Nightmare Vanguard. Each of them stood there very calmly, like stone statues. Nine Nether Demon Emperor smiled and said in a low voice, "Why aren't you listening and following, master? Remember, who is your true master? Once I give the order, you must kill anyone who dares to do so." "Yes, master." Chapter 1243. Eternal Sword Domain, Brightsword Forest. Petals fluttered in the air. The pear trees here had already begun to bear young fruits. In a few more months, they would be full of fruit. Under the pear tree, Lin Muyu and Elder Tian Nan brewed the last cup of tea. "Do you really have to leave?" Elder Tian Nan was reluctant to part with this junior, who was both a disciple and a friend. "Yes, I have to. I don't have much time." Lin Muyu smiled. "Thank you, senior, for taking care of me for so many days. I am eternally grateful." "What are you talking about?" Elder Tian Nan was a little sad. At this moment, a whistling sound came from the sky. A person passed through the spatial wall and landed. It was the golden-robed lord of Dawn City, Meng Taifeng. He carried a huge metal box and said, "Martial God, I am here to send you off." Lin Muyu stood up and smiled. "City Lord Meng, you are here too? We are friends. How could I not come?" Meng Taifeng suddenly threw the heavy metal box on the ground. Boom. A cloud of dust flew into the air as he said, "A total of 175 divine gems. Not a single one is missing. I even went to the main altar of the Hunters' Union to plunder some divine gems. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to get these 175. Lin Muyu was moved. "You are not keeping any?" "What for? You can have them all." Meng Taifeng was a straightforward person. He smiled. "If you want to be friends with me, that is enough. If you are not doing well in the 6 realms, you can come to the Eternal Sword Domain. We can drink and talk. What's wrong with that?" "Yes." Lin Muyu put all the radiant primordial gems into her cosmos sack. She then cupped her fists. "It is getting late. I should leave. We will meet again if fate allows it." "Brother, take care," Meng Taifeng said. Elder Tian Nan nodded with a smile. "Take care." Lin Muyu signaled with her eyes. She took Ria and Zhang Wei with her. In the air, a ray of light bloomed. It was a revelation from Fuxi. Lin Wuyu looked at the people on the ground. Farewell, everyone from the Eternal Sword Domain. Shirhan Ru Yen, and the others bowed and said their goodbyes. Whoosh. Moving like a sword, Lin Wuyu's body turned into a beam of cold light that pierced through the spatial wall. Suddenly, a deep passage of time appeared in front of her, leading to the 6 realms. This spatial wall was extremely thick, and it was far more difficult to break through than ordinary spatial cracks. However, Lin Wuyu had easily opened it. One could imagine how powerful she was. Even Meng Taifeng, who was in the pear jar, could not help but frown and say, "Is this the power of AO sword tactics? I'm afraid. He's already the strongest person in the world." Old man Tian Nan remained silent and did not deny it. In the sky, the 3 streaks of light disappeared into the tunnel. Lin Wuyu brought Ria and Chang Wei with her, heading straight for the 6 realms. In the blink of an eye, they had left the Eternal Sword Domain where they had stayed for several months. Eastern God Realm, Hall of Great Accomplishment. Ziyin sat on the Divine King's throne. He held on to the God-destroying pagoda and said, "Has everything been arranged?" "Everything has been arranged." Holy King Baifeng frowned and said, "If we really do this, is your majesty sure that the distress message you created will attract the gods of the Western Divine Realm?" "Of course." Ziyin squinted his eyes and smiled. "All false illusions are but a thought in the mind. With my cultivation, I may not be able to sway Xian's will, but I can sway Eva. As long as Eva believes me, everything will be easy. Where is the only way from the Western Divine Realm to the Immortal Mountain?" A demon general said, "Changming Mountain, a spiritual mountain in a giant plain of the lower realms. It is very vast, about 100 miles long. As long as we lie in ambush on Changming Mountain, those battle angels will definitely not discover us. We will kill as many as they come." "All right, then we will lie in ambush on Changming Mountain. Your subordinate will arrange it right away. How many Mara do you need? Please tell us, Your Majesty." "No." Ziyin raised his hand and said, "We don't need just 1 Mara. This emperor will let Xian and the other stubborn angels know the power of the ancient demon race. 9 underworlds heed my command." "Yes, Your Majesty." The 9 underworlds Demon King nodded with a gloomy expression. "Lead the nightmare warriors to Changming Mountain and lay in ambush. Wait for the battle angels of the Western Divine Realm to pass by. Remember, kill as many as they come. Don't let me down." "Yes, Your Majesty, please rest assured. The nightmare warriors will definitely complete their mission." "Go." "Yes." The 9 underworlds Demon King turned around, and the 100 nightmare warriors outside the palace followed him into the sky, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Holy King Baifeng wanted to say something, but stopped himself and stood there motionlessly. "What do you want to say?" Ziyin asked. Baifeng said, "The 9 underworlds Demon King has never been convinced by Your Majesty. Aren't Your Majesty worried that the 9 underworlds Demon King will lead the nightmare warriors to cause trouble?" Cause trouble?" Ziyin smiled faintly and said, "One attack from the god-destroying pagoda is enough to destroy half of his nightmare warriors. Why should I be afraid? Moreover, I'm sending him to eliminate the battle angels of the Western Divine Realm. It all depends on whether that old guy is willing to work for me. If he does his best, then everything will be fine. If he fails, then I will have a reason to punish him." Baifeng frowned and said, "I hope so." In the Western Divine Realm, the battle angels were sitting quietly in the Radiant Temple. Eva closed her eyes and her mind was calm. Suddenly, she felt a strand of spiritual will enter her mind, forming an image in her mind. It was the image of the Immortal Mountain, but the top of the mountain was covered with Mara's army. A figure was struggling under the siege of the winged Mara. It was Qin Yin. Even the East Flower Sword had been partially destroyed. Faint golden blood flowed on her robe, making it look extremely terrifying. "Ah!" Eva suddenly opened her eyes, and her face was pale. "What's wrong, Eva?" Xian asked with concern. I felt a terrifying scene." "What terrifying scene?" "Sister, I saw Xian just now. She sent a distress signal from the Immortal Mountain. Although it was only a weak spiritual will, I'm sure that it was Xiyin. She is covered in wounds and needs our help. The immortal mountain? Xiyin was shocked. Could it be that the gods of the Eastern Divine Realm are hiding in the immortal mountain? Yes, they have been discovered by the demon realm. We must send reinforcements, or else the Eastern Divine Realm will disappear completely. Xiyin took a deep breath and frowned, not saying anything. Lady Xiyin, shall we go? Terralyn said. Li Fei also said, yes, lady, what are we waiting for? Our strength is not enough to reverse the situation. Xiyin looked at everyone calmly and said, even if we go, it will be useless. Not only will we not be able to save Xiyin, but we will also be buried under the god-destroying tower. But as gods, we should first have humanity. If we watch the Eastern Divine Realm be destroyed and do nothing, what kind of gods are we? Terralyn was a little excited. Teray and the others also seemed very excited, and all of them were eager to try. Then let's send reinforcements. Xiyin gritted her teeth as she said, pass down my order. All 31 old gods who can fly are to follow me into battle. The Western God Realm must protect the last bloodline of the Eastern God Realm, even if they have to give it their all. Yes. Rays of light flew out of the Temple of Light one after another. This time, the Western Divine Realm almost turned out in full force. However, Xiyin and Eva did not know that the seeds of danger had been planted in the distance. Heaven's vault gold. The golden sky suddenly brightened, and the figures of Lin Muyu, Ria, and Zhang Wei landed on the rocks one after another. Miyue could not help but laugh. Little Junior, you really came back safely? Yes. Lin Muyu nodded, then cupped her fists and said respectfully to Fuxi, disciple Lin Muyu greets master. Good. Fuxi's gaze was gentle as he looked at his proudest disciple. He smiled and said, looks like you've already cultivated the power of sword domain. You really didn't disappoint me. These two are? Oh, Lin Muyu said, this is Zhang Wei, a follower I took in the Eternal Sword Realm. This girl is Ria, a disciple I took in the Eternal Sword Realm. Ria, come and greet Grandmaster. Ria's eyes widened and she quickly knelt down. Ria greets Grandmaster. Fuxi beamed. Good. I did not think that the School of Great Void would have another disciple, and a talented one at that. You have finally started a family. I dare not disobey you, Grandmaster. I will first take Ria as my disciple, and only after you give me your permission can I take her in. I agree. Fuxi raised his hand and smiled. Ria, from now on you will be the only third-generation disciple in our school. I hope you will cultivate well, keep the lives of the 6 realms in mind, and fight for order. Yes, thank you, Grandmaster. Ria was very obedient, and Fuxi liked her. Miyue, Wanxing, and the others surrounded him, asking questions. But Fuxi said, there is not much time left for you. You must return to the Eastern God Realm immediately. How is the Eastern God Realm, Master? The Hall of Great Accomplishment has fallen, and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi Xiao, and the others are hiding in the Buhai Mountains cultivating. But there is something more urgent that you must do. Please tell me, Master. The Lord of the Demon Realm, Ziyan, created an illusion to deceive Eva, making Eva think that the gods of the Eastern God Realm are trapped in the Immortal Mountain. So the gods of the Western God Realm are already on their way to reinforce the Immortal Mountain. But along the way, the 9 underworlds Demon Emperor has led 100 nightmare warriors in ambush on a spiritual mountain called the Eternal Brightness Mountain. You must immediately stop this disaster, and only you have the ability to do so. Although I can see through everything in the Divine Realm, Ziyan has already laid down a barrier, and my telekinesis cannot penetrate it to inform Xiyin, so you must go alone. Yes, Master. Lin Muyu nodded. Disciple will go to the Eternal Brightness Mountain now. Master, please tell me where it is. Okay. Fuxi nodded, and his telekinesis pointed into the distance. Lin Muyu's mind immediately became clear, and she confirmed the specific location of the Eternal Brightness Mountain. She then raised her long sword and said, Ria, Changwei, follow me to the Eternal Brightness Mountain. Be quick. Yes, Master. Yes, Martial God. Chapter 1244. Everlasting Brightness Mountain was a spiritual mountain that spanned several hundred kilometers. It was one of the more majestic spiritual mountains in the Eastern God realm. If it wasn't for the fact that this place was too close to the Western Divine Realm, the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor would have chosen Everlasting Brightness Mountain as his capital instead of Desheng Mountain. At this time, Everlasting Brightness Mountain was filled with hundreds of flowers and lush forests. Hidden in the deep grass were ancient demon gods who were holding their breaths, nightmares. They had completely concealed their auras, and were lying there like inanimate objects. Adding on the barrier that the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor had set up, it was almost impossible for outsiders to discover what was going on here. The 10 Nightmare Vanguards knelt on the ground and surrounded the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor held a small white flower in his hand and smiled. Life begins here and ends here. Once the flower blooms, it's a pity that all living beings fight and deceive each other. Yet they don't know why the heavens do this. The Nightmare Vanguards didn't seem to understand what the 9 Serenities Demon Emperor was saying. Humph. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor coldly laughed and asked, "Do you know what the meaning of life is?" The Nightmare Vanguards. They had been asleep for many years and had long forgotten how to think. They only knew how to obey orders. A bunch of idiots. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor faintly smiled and lightly exerted force with his fingers. Instantly, the small flower in his hand turned into dust and scattered with the wind. The meaning of life is to be destroyed. You idiots know nothing but killing. Do you know what eternal loneliness is? The Nightmare Vanguards. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor felt like he couldn't continue this conversation and said, "I've trapped myself in this lonely well. Others can't come in, and I don't want to go out. The only thing that can come in is my thousands of thoughts, while you are the rain in the sky and the wind beside my ears." The Nightmare Vanguards were dumbfounded. What a bunch of boring fellows. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor looked at the Nightmare Vanguards in disdain and laid on the grass. If I hadn't become the Demon Emperor several tens of thousands of years ago, I would have been a poet by now. The Nightmare Vanguards were still dumbfounded, but one of them laughed. The 9 Serenities Demon Emperor turned and glanced at him. "Keep laughing and I'll kill you." At this moment, presences appeared in 9 Serenities Demon Emperor's spirit sense. He immediately raised his arm and said, "All Nightmare Vanguards, Nightmare Vanguard." Vanguard in reality, they were still close to 100 kilometers away, but the battle angels were flying very quickly, and it would only take them a few minutes to cover 100 kilometers. However, 1 minute later, the Netherworld Demon Monarch sensed 3 more forces flying toward him from above. One of them was extremely strong, while the other 2 were slightly weaker. He frowned. "Demon Monarch, there seems to be an accident," a Nightmare Lord Vanguard said. He had also sensed the presence of Lin Muyu, Ria, and the rest. "Serenities Ving's Demon Vanguards," the Netherworld Devil Monarch said. You 2 vanguards will lead 20 nightmare demons to kill the 3 people in the sky. The rest will follow me to kill the gods of the Western Divine Realm. As long as we destroy the Western Divine Realm, we will definitely be put in an important position. Once we have the chance, we will steal the God-destroying tower. Without the God-destroying tower, Ziyan is nothing but trash. Yes, Demon King. They're here. Attack. The 9 underworlds Demon Monarch roared and rushed into the sky with purple flames all over his body. He raised his left palm and turned it into a heavenly demon that grasped the blazing angel and moon goddess, Shi Yan, at the forefront of the formation. Shi Yan reacted quickly and realized that she had been tricked. She shouted, "Be careful of the ambush." The light of the Chiwa sword soared and turned into a bright sword mark that split the energy of the 9 Serenities Demon Monarch's palm. The sword light fell straight down without dissipating and slashed the ground, causing a group of shapeshifters to scatter. Looking at the agile shapeshifters, Shi Yan could not help but feel her scalp go numb. The opponents in front of her were definitely not easy to deal with. She hurriedly shouted, "Maintain a defensive formation, don't scatter. They are very strong. Rely on me and Lao Hua to defend against their attacks." The 2 blazing angels guarded the left and right sides of the formation. Dense sword rays burst out continuously, barely protecting the battle angels in the formation for a short period of time. Otherwise, if they were allowed to fight the incubus warrior directly, most of the battle angels would be killed within 3 rounds. After all, the incubus warrior's strength was equivalent to that of a mid-god. It was far from what Moro and those old gods could compare with. At the same time, there was a roar in the sky. Xian looked up. She could not see the battle, but she could feel a familiar aura. She couldn't help but smile and said, Yu is here. Einherjar Linmuyu is here. The morale of the battle angels was boosted. This was what they lacked the most. When encountering an enemy that was much stronger than them, they needed the courage to fight. If they did not dare to fight, they could only wait for death. In the sky, the 2 incubus vanguards danced in the air, carrying with them a piercing demonic flame. They launched a 2-on-1 attack on Linmuyu while Ria and Zhangwei watched from afar. This was not a battle they could participate in. The strength of the incubus vanguards was far beyond their imagination. The strange-looking long-hilted weapon spun rapidly, unleashing a biting cold devil flame blade. The biting cold devil flame blade was as though it was scraping off the skin and bones. And if it was a common god, they would have been killed. However, Linmuyu was no longer the same as before. Her palm struck out fiercely like steel and grabbed the hilt of the Nightmare Vanguard's weapon. She opened her right hand and aimed straight at the Nightmare Vanguard's heart. The Nightmare Warrior was shocked and realized that things were not good. Tens of thousands of sword chi exploded from his back, directly shredding his heart into pieces. He died in midair. His body was forcefully thrown down by Linmuyu. With a turn of her body, the other Nightmare Beast Vanguard's strange blade descended from the sky. Linmuyu could not help but smile. She raised her finger and activated the AO sword tactics. Sword auras circled around her and pushed away the sword of the Nightmare Warrior. At the same time, she pointed her finger, and thousands of sword auras pierced through the Nightmare Warrior and turned him into a bloody mess. It was as if he was shot by thousands of bullets. Die. Faced with the siege of 20 Nightmare Warriors, Linmuyu gathered her chi in her elixir field and activated the AO sword tactics. A huge ball was formed around her, surrounded by surging sword auras. It was the Sword Realm, one of the mental cultivation methods of the AO sword tactics. For a moment, the 20 Nightmare Warriors kept hitting the ball, and they were either dead or injured. They fell one by one, howling in pain. Linmuyu did not stay and shouted, I'll go help Xian. Changwei Ria, clean up the mess. Yes, master. Ria pulled out Star Trace, and her body swept through the air like a gust of wind. Her sharp sword chopped off the head of an injured incubus warrior. Before the other incubus warrior could get close, Ria quickly moved and spun in the air to avoid the attack. Star Trace followed up with a violent strike, crushing the enemy's heart with the power of first appearance of starlight. Changwei did not dare to get too close. He could only pick a Nightmare Warrior that had been beaten half to death by Linmuyu and started fighting. For a moment, they were evenly matched. I plead with the power of the god of summer. Give me the strongest power of heat. Tului's long sword was covered in flames. He swept out with a loud bang. Bang. A Nightmare Lord Vanguard used a strange shield to defend perfectly. Apart from a fire mark on the shield, it was unscathed. Instead, he flipped his hand and threw out his spear. The spear carried a chilling demonic flame and had an unstoppable aura. Clang! Tule used his long blade to parry the spear, but how could he block it? The spear pierced through his heart in an instant. His eyes were filled with confusion as he looked at the enemies in front of him. He didn't even know where these powerful enemies came from, nor did he know why he was humiliated to death. Sha sha sha. The body of an orthodox god dissipated like red sand in the wind. The god of summer Tului, a first-tier intermediate god, had died in battle. Tului! Not far away, Terolin's heart was shocked. There were still 7 opponents at the level of this Nightmare Vanguard, and there was an even more powerful 9 Serenities Demon Monarch. One could imagine how much pressure Xian, who was resisting the 9 Serenities Demon Monarch and 4 Nightmare Vanguards alone, was under. In the surroundings, battle angels were constantly being killed. Screams could be heard one after another. Xian was in an extremely difficult situation. Her arms felt as heavy as lead, which was caused by the strange demonic flames of the 9 Serenities demon monarch. In addition, the 4 Nightmare Vanguard's fierce attacks had almost exhausted Shi Yan's divine power. If it weren't for the powerful moon chill, she would have already been defeated. Die Moon Goddess. 9th Underworld demon monarch cackled. His palms fell together, and his fingers clasped the Chi sword like an eagle's claw. The pervasive demonic flame rushed along the blade and quickly wrapped Shi Yan's body. Ah! Shi Yan was shocked. Lady Shi Yan. The crowd shouted, but no one had the strength to enter the battlefield. At this moment, a blood-red lightning suddenly descended from the sky and seeped into Shi Yan's arms. It continuously dispelled the demonic flames of the Abyss Demon King, making Shi Yan feel as if her body had been reborn. The moon chill suddenly erupted and pushed the Abyss Demon King back. Above her, the handsome boy asked with a lazy smile, "Sister Shi Yan, long time no see. Did you miss me?" Shi Yan also smiled. "I missed you to death. Don't say useless things. Help me." Yes. Lin Muyu's holy martial power rampaged in the air, greatly increasing the battle strength of the battle angels. At the same time, he finally unsheathed the Xianyuan sword and shouted with a stern aura, "Abyss Demon King, eat my sword." Boom. The sword, which was as majestic as a mountain, fell from the sky. It was not a simple sword, but a sword that contained the supreme mental cultivation of the AO sword tactics. It seemed simple, but it made the Abyss Demon King's scalp tingle. However, this sword only contained 40% of the AO sword tactics power. It was a question whether to take this sword or not. It would be embarrassing if he didn't. If he did, he might lose his life. Chapter 1245. Ha! Good boy. Devil Monarch's eyes burst with a fierce light. The madness of the people in the Devil Realm was undoubtedly revealed. He suddenly opened his palms, and a brilliant demon flame domain appeared in his chest. After hundreds of thousands of years of cultivation, this old monster knew what kind of power to use to deal with what kind of power. Obviously, Lin Muyu's AO sword tactics could not be resisted by ordinary martial arts, so he did not hesitate to use his unique skill, Burning Nirvana. Like AO sword tactics, Burning Nirvana was also a very powerful domain martial art. In the bright starry domain, small demon flame balls kept exploding, but all the power was suppressed in one, waiting to reach the zero world to give Lin Muyu the strongest blow. A group of battle angels and nightmare warriors were watching, and their hearts seemed to stop. What would be the result of the fight between the two peerless powerhouses? Boom! The Xianyuan sword fell down with the field of the great AO sword technique, and hit the burning nirvana of the demon monarch of the 9 Serenities. Suddenly, continuous explosions sounded one after another. The explosion in the small space in front of the chest of the demon monarch of the 9 Serenities was like the scene of the nirvana of the star universe. Although it was small, it was so powerful that people felt suffocated. Unable to defeat Devil Monarch with one blow, Lin Muyu did not hesitate. She suddenly retreated dozens of meters, holding the long sword on her right shoulder with both hands. The roaring domain flame erupted from the blade, and she rushed again like lightning. The second blow, 60% of the power of AO sword tactics. Damn it! Devil Monarch couldn't help cursing. His palms were round, and he increased the power of Burning Nirvana to more than 80%. Even the bones of his whole body made a clear violent sound. His body was about to be unable to bear the powerful impact of AO sword tactics. Boom! The second blow. At the moment when the two forces collided, the crowd almost couldn't hear anything. This was probably what the saying, "the loudest sound is all about." The strongest sound was so strong that the crowd couldn't hear anything. Lin Muyu's body was already wrapped in a thick layer of sword domain sphere, while the Netherworld Demon Monarch's body was already on fire. Wow! He let out a miserable groan and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he still tried his best to activate the burning Nirvana flame, and forcefully shook off Lin Muyu's second attack. Even so, everyone knew that the 9 Serenities Demon King had suffered a great loss in the second exchange. He spat out a mouthful of blood, but Lin Muyu seemed to be completely fine. There was only calmness and composure on his handsome face. Standing in the sky, Lin Muyu looked at Abysmal Demon Monarch proudly. Without saying a word, she put her left index finger and middle finger together, and casually pointed in the air. However, this finger was not simple. With 70% of the power of the mighty AO sword tactics, it turned into a huge sword chi that fell from the sky and directly hit the burning Nirvana domain that Abysmal Demon Monarch had not fully condensed. Pooh. This time, not only did he cough up blood, but the Netherworld Demon Lord's chest was also pierced by the sword chi, and his internal organs could be seen. His injuries could not be any worse. The great pain made the old monster howl. While struggling to retreat, he roared, "Nightmares, kill this person, kill for me." Several nightmare vanguards who had been fighting with Eva and Xian immediately rushed over. Lin Muyu did not say anything more. Tens of thousands of sword chi whirled around her, turning into a rainbow light and piercing through two nightmare vanguards. Suddenly, the bodies of two nightmare vanguards were smashed into pieces. They had died in the battle. The moment the sword chi suddenly exploded, countless sword chi raged. Suddenly, more than 10 nightmare warriors were killed. At this time, Lin Muyu seemed to have turned into a god of war. No one could resist his attack. Obviously, even the old monster Abysmal Demon Monarch had been defeated, let alone the nightmare warriors. Bastard. The Netherworld Demon Monarch flew quickly on the surface of Changming Mountain and disappeared in the jungle in the blink of an eye. At this time he was full of anger. Originally, he could have used the Nightmare Army to destroy the whole Western Divine Realm and gain the ultimate trust of Ziyan. However, he suffered such a crushing defeat. An Einherjar appeared out of nowhere, and it was his Nightmare Army that was destroyed. In the air, the Nightmare Warriors obeyed their master's order and still attacked relentlessly. However, Xian, Eva, and Li Fei had been strengthened by the power of holy martial arts, and their strength had increased greatly. Facing the Nightmare Warriors, they were not completely at a disadvantage, especially Xian, who had killed many nightmares with the Qiyue sword. Of course, the one who killed the most was Lin Muyu. Her sword chi was in the air, and the AO sword skill was so powerful that the Nightmare Warriors were all killed in the blink of an eye. Among the 10 Nightmare Warriors, only one was killed by Xian and Eva. The other 9 were all killed by Lin Muyu's AO sword skill. As for the Nightmare Warriors, they were barely alive and were not far from death. The battle was very short. In less than 10 minutes, the battle was over. 100 Nightmare Warriors were all killed, and only the Netherworld Demon Monarch escaped. Looking down at the ground, there were sword chi everywhere on Spirited Mountain. Most of them were the masterpieces of Lin Muyu, and some were caused by the attacks of Seraphim and Battle Angels. The corpses of the Nightmare Warriors and Nightmare Warriors were scattered in the jungle. In addition, there were also the corpses of some Battle Angels and old deities, as well as Summer God Teray, who had turned into ashes. Although they won, there was no smile on the faces of Xian, Eva, and others. No one knew if there were more nightmare armies in the demon realm, but the old deities were getting fewer and fewer. Russell. Xian landed and knelt beside a female battle angel. She gently picked up her corpse and said, "Retrieve the corpses of your companions and return to the Western Divine Realm." "Yes, Madam Xian." Everyone picked up the corpses of their companions one by one. At a glance, more than 10 battle angels had died. Lin Muyu frowned. "Sister Xian, my condolences." "I'm fine." Xian shook her head and said, It's all thanks to your timely arrival. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the entire Western Divine Realm would have been annihilated here today. That despicable Ziyan actually used an illusion to lure us, and set up an ambush along the way." Lin Muyu said, "Let's go. I'll escort you back to the Western Divine Realm." Okay. In the cemetery behind the Temple of Light in the Western Divine Realm, a hasty funeral was held in the afternoon. Lin Muyu also attended the funeral. After all, the Western Divine Realm was like another home for her. Now that the 4 Divine Realms had formed an alliance against the Demon Realm, everyone was on the same side. It started to rain. Only a few people held up umbrellas. The corridor leading from the cemetery to the Temple of Light was a little slippery, but Xian still walked on foot. She wore a clean and elegant white blazing angel cloak, which complemented her beautiful figure and elegant face. As she walked, she said to Lin Muyu beside her, You really obtained a different kind of power after going to the Eternal Sword Domain." "Yes," Lin Muyu said. "This power is called the Proud Sword Technique. It's very strong, but also very difficult to control. The Proud Sword Technique is a pure state of mind. Once you can't control it, you'll be controlled by arrogance and killing. That's equivalent to falling into the demonic path." "Is that so?" Xian smiled slightly. "I thought you could teach the Western Divine Realm a thing or two about this power of the Sword Domain." Lin Muyu was a little embarrassed. "I didn't say that I can't teach it to others. I just need to be moderate. If Sister Xian wants to learn it, I'll give it to you. With Sister Xian's state of mind, it won't be a problem to cultivate it to 70 or 80%. "Really? Really? Good." Lin Muyu paused, then said, "But Sister Xian, you must promise not to teach it to others. The Proud Sword Technique can create a martial god, but it can also create a killing god. People who don't have a strong enough mind can never cultivate the Proud Sword Technique." "Well, I know. Let's go." There are still many things waiting for us to deal with. Oh, there's one more thing. "What is it?" "I have some gifts to give to the Western Divine Realm. Before I left, I heard from Xiaoyin that it's something you need urgently." "What is it?" Eva also tilted her head and asked. "Raw light stones, 175 raw light stones." Xian and Eva were both shocked. At night, in the Temple of Light, a group of battle angels offered sacrifices to the dead. Under the faint candlelight of the side hall, Xian held a simplified pen and wrote names on the paper. This was what she had to do urgently. She selected 175 powerful useless gods from the major families, and then used the raw light stones to turn them into old gods and battle angels. This was the advantage of the Western Divine Realm, and also the only thing they could rely on. Lin Muyu sat on a stone bed a few meters in front of Xian. He sat cross-legged, surrounded by blood-colored lightning. That was the power of the holy martial arts. His spiritual thoughts had already flown beyond the clouds to search for the whereabouts of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and the other gods from the Eastern Divine Realm. His spiritual energy flew in the air, but it seemed like there was a huge net in the air. Every time Lin Muyu tried to break through, he would be knocked back by the pain all over his body. Not long after, his forehead was covered in sweat. It was even impossible to contact Jin Shang's master, Fushi. "What is that?" he asked. Xian didn't even raise her head. She was still writing names on the paper, but she said, "Enchantment." Ziyin used the power of the god-destroying tower to create a super-strong enchantment. It is this enchantment that causes the 4 divine realms to be unable to communicate with each other at present. "Why? Even with your cultivation, you can't break through this barrier?" "I can, but the price will be very high. It might hurt my spiritual senses." "Then don't try. Your strength must be preserved. Not a single bit of damage is allowed." "Okay." Lin Muyu said, "Sister Xian, starting tomorrow, I will go out to search for the whereabouts of Xiaoyin and the others. Ria and Zhang Wei will stay with you for now. Teach Ria some martial arts of the Western Divine Realm, and urge her to continue cultivating." "Okay." Xian smiled happily. "I really like this female disciple of yours. Don't worry, I will protect her. Thank you." Chapter 1246. In the Great Accomplishment Mountain, a battered and exhausted figure fell into the Great Accomplishment Palace. It was the injured 9th Serenity Demon King. Wah! As soon as he landed, he spat out a mouthful of stinking demonic blood. The Holy King's faces turned pale with fright. None of them expected that an old monster would be injured. Ziyin squinted his eyes and asked, "Senior 9th Serenity, what happened to you?" "Annihilated, annihilated." "What annihilated?" "The Nightmare Army was annihilated." The 9th Serenity Demon King trembled slightly as he said, "Lin Muyu. Martial God Lin Muyu is back with peerless power." "What Lin Muyu is back?" Ziyin looked at him proudly. "Senior, look at me while talking. What happened? Didn't you go to intercept Xian, Eva, And the others? Yes, but Lin Muyu suddenly appeared, killed my vanguards and defeated me. The ninth Serenity Demon King did not hide anything and said, Lin Muyu is too strong. He defeated me in 3 moves. He is too strong. 3 moves? Sage ruler White Wind couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. How is this possible? Demon King, you are even stronger than a first-class superior god. Even Xian may not be your match, right? I don't know. The Netherworld Demon Monarch shook his head like he was crazy. I don't know why, but he's really too strong. I'm not his opponent. Lin Muyu, he's grasped the power of a heaven domain, an undefeatable power. Enough. Ziyan's eyes were cold as he said. Fire Jade Sage Monarch, Dragon Sparrow Sage Monarch. The 2 of you will support the demonic monarch to recuperate and rest. Senior, you should rest well. No matter how strong Lin Muyu is, can he win against my god-destroying pagoda? The Netherworld Demonic King was helped down by 2 Holy King. The Holy King Bai Feng said, Your Majesty, since even the 9 Underworlds Demon King was defeated, it proves that Lin Muyu's cultivation is indeed not to be underestimated. We must be careful. You must be very happy that Lin Muyu has returned in such a powerful state, right? This is the balance you want. Ziyan sneered. Holy King Bai Feng looked helpless. Your Majesty, I didn't mean that. Stop it. Ziyan took a deep breath. No matter how strong Lin Muyu is, I will use the perfect god exterminating pagoda to destroy him. No matter how strong he is, he will die under the god exterminating pagoda. Don't worry. Your Majesty, are you planning to use the god exterminating tower to kill him? Long distance? Ziyan sneered. I'm not that stupid. I can't even kill the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Tang Xiaoxi, and Qin Yin from a long distance, not to mention the stronger Lin Muyu. Even if I want to attack, I will definitely attack from a distance. He won't even have the chance to dodge or resist. At this moment, a group of demon generals walked in. They were the leaders who were out patrolling. Did you find anything? Ziyan looked at them coldly. No, Your Majesty. A bunch of trash. The group of demon generals' faces turned ugly. One of them walked forward and knelt down. Your Majesty, I have a small discovery. Oh. Speak. Yesterday, when I was patrolling at the border of the eastern and northern celestial realms, I suddenly felt a trace of demon god's aura. However, it was only for a moment. After that, I couldn't feel it anymore. Demon god's aura? What do you mean? Ziyan's eyes turned cold. Your Majesty, you should also know that all the demon gods who ascended from the mortal realm have already gone to the Fekta temple to register. Only one person did not go. And that is the demon god who ascended from the celestial pole continent, Nuslik. This woman has never been to the demon realm after she obtained her demon body. I have checked and found out that I was the only demon realm force that was patrolling that area yesterday. Therefore I determined that Nuslik must be there. Since she is there, the gods of the eastern celestial realm might be hiding there. Where exactly is it? Not Haishan. Ha 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 ha. Ziyan couldn't help but laugh. 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Xiao, you cowards have been hiding for so long. It's time for you to come out and take a breather. Someone summon the illusory pool. Yes, Your Majesty. The stone floor in the center of the hall slowly dispersed, revealing the misty illusory pool below. Ziyan waved his hand, and the mist above the illusory pool dispersed, revealing the scene of the not Haishan area that he wanted to see. However, it was a dense jungle and there was nothing worth being happy about. The group of Holy King and demon generals were silent, but there was disappointment on their faces. However, Ziyan wasn't the same. He sneered. Umph. The god-destroying pagoda in his hand suddenly spun rapidly. Layers of the pagoda rotated continuously, bringing with it the power of crimson demon flames. Suddenly, a strong beam of light shot into the distance. Not long after, a beam of light shot down from the sky in the image in the illusory pool. Immediately, the illusion of the jungle began to change. In the blink of an eye, the dense jungle became open land, and a blurry figure appeared. Found it. Ziyan quickly retracted the energy of the god-destroying pagoda and smiled. Finally found it. Send the order immediately, gather the army of the demon realm, and head to the Not Haitian area tomorrow morning to exterminate the remnants of the Eastern Celestial Realm. Yes. At dawn, there was silence in the Light Temple. Xian was still selecting the list. Russell. Amidst the footsteps, Eva walked in and sat on the windowsill. She said, "You is gone." "He really can't wait until dawn." Xian smiled faintly. "But this is also expected. He doesn't want to wait too long." "Yes, you doesn't want to wait too long." Eva said, "Actually, it's really thanks to this kid. Otherwise, I'm afraid we can't sit here and talk now." "Ayu, pass the mental cultivation method of AO sword tactics to you?" "Yes, but I don't have time to practice now. You are now the ruler of the Western Heaven Realm. Naturally, you don't have time to practice. Teach me, I will practice. In your dreams. Wait until I master it." "Humph. Is there any news from the demon realm?" "I don't know. Our telekinesis channels are all blocked. We can't see what's happening in the distance." "Don't worry so much." Xian glanced at the list next to her and said, "You help me select the last few names on the list, and then start summoning them to the Light Temple. As long as these more than 100 angels regain the power of blessing, our Western Divine Realm can form a dominant force that can't be ignored. Even if we encounter the main force of the demon realm, we will have the power to fight." Eva picked up the list, glanced at it and said, "You really don't plan to practice the AO sword tactics?" "No, I've been creating the 8th slash of Xian recently." "The 8th slash?" Eva stuck out her tongue. "It looks so powerful. How powerful is it? What's its name?" "In terms of power, although it is not as overbearing as the AO sword tactics, it is not much inferior. As for the name, I haven't thought of it yet." Xian glanced at Yuhua and said with a smile, "How about calling it Chop His Father's Mashed Pieces?" Eva was speechless. "As long as you're happy. Did you leave out Yuan Chui's family in this list? They have a few great perfection deities in their family. They can join us." "Yeah, I really forgot. You can add them." "Okay." On a spiritual mountain less than 15 kilometers away from the Hall of Great Accomplishment, dark clouds gathered in the sky. Groups of winged Mara flew past, as if they were gathering. In the clouds, there was one person who was silent. It was Lin Muyu. His aura had almost been reduced to 0, so those winged Mara obviously could not sense him. However, this did not mean that the winged Mara could not discover him. There was a boom from the side, and one of the winged Mara directly crashed into Lin Muyu's arms. F***CK. He snorted, hugged the winged Mara, and twisted his neck. However, a group of winged Mara around him hurriedly flapped their wings and besieged him. There were about 20 of them. Lin Muyu acted quickly. The AO sword tactics was suddenly activated, and a group of Mara was turned into mincemeat in an instant. Then, he concealed his aura and hid in the clouds again. In the distance, groups of Mara were galloping in the direction of Mount Dashang. "What's going on?" He frowned and said to himself. Did Ziyan discover the whereabouts of Xiao Yin and the others? He must be right. If he did not discover the whereabouts of the Eastern deities, Ziyan would not have mobilized so many people. However, Lin Muyu could not sense where Qin Yin and the others were. What should he do? He only thought for 3 seconds and came up with a plan. Then he could only blend into the circle of Mara and attack together with Ziyan. Once he found Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, he would immediately counterattack. Staring into the distance, he began to look for the target. After nearly 10 minutes, the target finally appeared. It was a demon general riding a dragon tiger and holding a big hammer in his hand. He looked very powerful. His body was covered by a cloak, and even his face could not be seen clearly. However, it was obvious that he was a big guy with a fierce face, thick eyebrows and big eyes. He was lost, so he urged the dragon tiger to rush into the clouds. Pitter-patter. After a round of beating, the body of the demon general was thrown down the clouds, and Lin Muyu took his place. She put on the bulky armor and cloak, carried the thick and heavy war hammer, and mounted the dragon tiger. The dragon tiger was covered with dragon armor and mixed fur, and its head was a fierce tiger. With a roar, it turned around and bit Lin Muyu's arm. How could she do that? Bang! With a light punch, the head of the dragon tiger was smashed into pieces. F***ck, it's so weak? Lin Muyu was stunned. She quickly raised her hand and shouted, "Come out, Acatosaurus!" Roar roar! The Acatosaurus came out from the alternate dimension, and it looked even more majestic. Its head was very ferocious, and it had the aura of a dragon king. It rubbed its arms against Lin Muyu. "Can you transform?" Lin Muyu carried the dragon tiger's corpse and said, "Can I turn into this?" The Acatosaurus did not say a word. It went forward and bit off the head of the dragon tiger, chewed it, and let out a cry. Its body began to transform, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a dragon tiger. "I knew it." Lin Muyu stepped on the dragon tiger's corpse and threw it away. The perfect form of the dragon race was that they could transform into anything, even humans. However, looking at the appearance of the Acatosaurus, it seemed like it could transform into anything it ate. Lin Muyu could not help but sigh, and the image of the Acatosaurus turning into a pile of shit appeared in her mind. Chapter 1247. Gather and prepare to attack. The horn of the demon realm sounded on Mount Deshang. In the distance, Ziyan held the god of destruction in his hand, and led the injured demon king of 9 serenities, and a group of holy king-level leaders of the demon realm to inspect the 3 armies. Countless Mara were hovering in the air. Ziyan's voice was very loud and clear. He said, "We have found the whereabouts of the remnants of the Eastern Divine Realm. Attack with me and annihilate them completely. Long live the Emperor! Long live the Emperor!" A group of demon generals raised their weapons and roared fanatically. Among them, the demon general that Lin Muyu incarnated also raised his war hammer, but he didn't say "Long live the Emperor." He just joined in the commotion. At the same time, he had to take care of the dragon and tiger transformed by Acatosaurus to prevent it from eating the mounts of other demon generals in one bite. The dark clouds rolled away. Ziyan, 9 serenities by Feng, and others had already flown away from Mount Deshang, followed by the dense Mara army. Lin Muyu didn't fall behind. She urged Acatosaurus to follow closely behind Ziyan and others. At the closest, it was less than 100 meters away from Ziyan. Tens of millions of demon army were moving in the sky like a huge black hole. It was very scary, and Lin Muyu was just a small part of it. "Howl!" Acatosaurus roared, almost attracting the attention of the demon generals. Lin Muyu hurriedly restrained it. At the same time, she frowned. If she took action at this time, she could prevent Ziyan from finding Qinin, Tang Xiaoxi and others. But it also meant that Lin Muyu had to fight 1 against 10 million. This was not a joke. Even if she had mastered the AO sword tactics and the power of holy martial arts, she couldn't be so arrogant. After all, the god-destroying tower could not be underestimated, and the divine power would eventually be exhausted. But if she found the gods of the Eastern Divine Realm, and used the power of holy martial arts to bless the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Xiao, Qin, Tang Xiaoxi and others, it would be completely different. At that time, no matter how many troops Mara had, there was nothing to fear. So Lin Muyu had been holding back, quietly driving Acatosaurus to fly to the depths of the divine realm with Ziyan, the demon monarch of 9 serenities, and others. In the sky, layers of clouds were constantly intertwining. Ziyan and others flew farther and farther away. They were thousands of meters away. But a few holy king infiltrated the crowd of Mara's army, as if to inspect them. Not far away, the slim female holy king was Bai Feng. Although Lin Muyu didn't know Bai Feng, she always felt that there was something special about this holy king. As for how special it was probably because she was very beautiful. Bai Feng's eyes swept over more than 100 demon generals beside Lin Muyu, and finally flew to Lin Muyu's side. She gently touched the head of Acatosaurus with her palm. Howl! Acatosaurus bared its fangs. Lin Muyu hurriedly covered its back with her palm, ordering it not to act rashly. Otherwise, if more than 100 demon generals attacked together, it would be very troublesome. This dragon tiger doesn't seem to be completely tamed, right? Bai Feng's bright eyes looked at Lin Muyu, and flew forward with her. Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, "Yes, but it's almost done. Your Excellency, Holy King. Your voice. Bai Feng was a little hesitant, and said, your voice isn't as rough and hoarse as those demon generals. You're also very special, and your figure is far less sturdy than those of other demon generals. Lin Muyu said, when ancestor Emperor Ziyan was also a demon general, his figure was similar to mine. Hee, that's true. Bai Feng flew forward with great interest, and sat on the dragon's back beside Lin Muyu and asked, can I give you a ride? As long as your Excellency Holy King is willing. Lin Muyu was very perturbed. She always felt that Holy King Bai Feng had noticed something, but she was not sure. With Bai Feng's strength, once he noticed something wrong, he should immediately take action. Turning around, Bai Feng's feet were bathed in the clouds, and he seemed to be very leisurely. Bai Feng, Holy King you. Lin Muyu wanted to say something but stopped. She wanted to ask if he had seen through her. But Bai Feng smiled faintly and said, there's no need to ask. There's no problem with your weapon, mount and attire. There are tens of thousands of demon generals in the demon realm. And there are even octagonal ones, not to mention yours. But your only flaw is that you actually chatted with me. You don't know how much fear the demon generals have for the Holy King, let alone me, the Holy King. Unknowingly, Lin Muyu had already silently activated the AO sword tactics, and her clothes slowly began to flutter. Don't make a move. Bai Feng said calmly. Once you make a move, you will really be exposed. I only want to ask you one question. Go ahead. Lin Muyu was a little helpless. Her strength was far above her, but now it seemed that she was being controlled by her. Bai Feng smiled and said, are you the person who injured the 9 Nether Demon King? Yes. Then what do you want to do by sneaking into the Demon Realm army this time? Defeat you all. Lin Muyu did not hide and said, and also to revitalize the Eastern Divine Realm. Then I wish you success. Bai Feng moved his butt away from the dragon's back and floated in the air. He said, don't be seen through early, and don't be killed early. The God-destroying tower is very powerful now, perhaps beyond your imagination. You must be careful when dealing with it. I'm leaving. With that, Bai Feng turned and flew away. Lin Muyu frowned and did not know what to say. The hundreds of demon generals at the side also came closer. All of them were very silent and did not say anything, as if everything was natural. Perhaps to them, it was none of their business that Bai Feng, the Holy King, and this demon general talked so much. As the saying went, if it was none of their business, it was their way of doing things. In the Buhai Mountain, the people of the Eastern Divine Realm in the dense forest did not know that danger was approaching. It was not until the Demon Realm army was within 1,000 miles that they realized it, and the first person to realize it was Chu Yao. She woke up from her dream and found Xiao and Qin. Sister Chu Yao's prophecy is definitely not wrong. Qin stood in the field filled with fragrant grass and said with certainty, we should have been prepared. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor took a deep breath and said, actually, I also have a bad feeling. It seems that the demon realm has found us. I said that the beam of light yesterday was a bit strange. And now it seems that it is indeed the demon realm's way of investigating us. Don't say anything else. Order everyone to be on guard and prepare for battle. We can't escape, so we can only fight to the death with them. Xiao frowned and said, with our current strength, we have no chance of winning. What should we do? We have to fight even if we don't have a chance of winning. Now we can only hope that Shi Yin will receive the news and come to help. Let's hope so. Dozens of meters away, Feng Jixing and Wei Chou walked over with their weapons in hand. They were even wearing the armor of the Great Qin Empire. They didn't have the time to change into anything else. The Eastern God world was so poor and dejected that they didn't have any armor for them to change into. They could only make do with it. Another battle? Feng Jixing asked. Tang Xiaoxi nodded and said, the demon realm has found us. These demon realm people really don't know when to give up. Feng Jixing gritted his teeth and pressed his hand on the hilt of his sword and said, Demon Emperor, do you have a plan for how we fight? If we stubbornly defend here, we will be bombarded by them from above. I'm afraid we won't be able to resist at all. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor asked. Wind God, what plan do you have? Here over there. Feng Jixing pointed into the distance. There was a lone peak that was about 2,000 meters tall. He said, "We can hide our main force on that mountain and use a small portion of the gods as bait. This way, when the demon world's army attacks the mountain, the main force on the mountain can launch an attack from a high vantage point. This way, we won't lose the terrain advantage." "Okay, let's do that." The 7 luminaries demon emperor knew that Feng Jixing had been fighting wars since he was a mortal, and although he was the demon emperor, he was only good at one-on-one battles. At this time, the enemy was strong and he was weak, so it was better to use more tricks. After the time it took for a stick of incense to burn, the quiet Buhai mountains and plains calmed down again. The 7 luminaries demon emperor, Xiao, and Chu Chu led some useless gods to stay in the jungle, while Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, Qin Yin, and other righteous gods who mainly attacked hid on the solitary peak, waiting for a counterattack from above. "We're almost there." The 7 luminaries demon emperor took a deep breath and looked at the sky calmly. He knew that this would be a fierce battle, but as long as they could deal with the god-destroying tower, there was still hope for the eastern celestial world. There were a limited number of powerful people in the demon realm, which were Ziyan, Abyss Demon Monarch, and Jiuju Holy Emperor. As for Bai Feng and the others, they were not worth mentioning. "They're here." Sun Feng held his long sword, his face a little pale. The sky that was originally surrounded by auspicious clouds was covered by purple clouds in the blink of an eye. The clouds rolled over, and the clouds were filled with shrill cries. It was Mara's army. Above the clouds, Ziyan, Abyss Demon Monarch, and other leaders of the demon realm stepped on the air. Looking at the people on the ground, Ziyan laughed and said sternly, "7 luminaries demon emperor, you have nowhere to run this time, right?" The 7 luminaries demon emperor held Penga's axe and raised his head proudly. "I, your father, have no intention of running away. Come on, I can't hold back my killing intent anymore." Although he said this, Xiao's eyes were filled with worry. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's pride had not fully recovered. It had only recovered to about 70%, but the power of the god-destroying tower was almost perfect. This time, if the 7 luminaries demon emperor used his pride to resist the power of the god-destroying tower, he might not be able to escape death. "All right, I'll do as you wish." The corners of Ziyan's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. "Brats from the demon world, charge! Kill them all! 9 Nether Senior, attack with me, alright?" 9 Nether's injuries had not fully recovered, but he could only smile bitterly and nod. "Yes, your majesty." However, just as the demon realm army was about to fight, a wong sound was heard. A pitch-black object smashed from behind and directly hit the back of Ziyan's head. Dang. It was a warhammer, and it bounced off Ziyan's head. However, Ziyan's face had already turned green. He suddenly turned around and roared. "Which bastard can't control himself? Traitor, come out and accept your death." In the neat formation of demon generals, the young man riding on Dragon Tiger slowly urged Dragon Tiger to fly forward. He raised his head and lifted his cloak, revealing a handsome and unruly face. He had a lazy smile on his face. "I smashed it. What can you do to me?" "Brother you." On the mountain peak, Qinin was so excited that she almost cried. Tang Xiaoxi was also stunned. Mu is back." On the ground, the 7 luminaries demon emperor heaved a sigh of relief. He smiled weakly. "We won this battle." Chapter 1248. It's you. Jiuyo Demon Monarch's face instantly turned livid. Lin Muyu's appearance had already cast a shadow on his heart. It was this kid who defeated him in 3 moves. "It's you." Ziyan repeated Jiuyo Demon Monarch's words. His eyes were full of resentment as he said, "What are you waiting for? This person is the strongest martial deity among the upright deities. Kill him, kill him." For a moment, the purple clouds in the sky fell like a tsunami. That was the army of thousands of Mara. Lin Muyu sat motionlessly on the dragon's back. He gently raised his left hand, and a bunch of golden light floated in his palm. In the blink of an eye, his back bloomed with a bright light and suddenly became bigger. It was like the shell of an ancient dragon turtle, which was hundreds of meters in radius. The outside of the shell was full of tiny golden awns. Those were the sword chi of Ao sword tactics. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sword chi continued to fly out, piercing through the group of Maras as if he had unleashed tens of thousands of sword kinesis technique in an instant. In the blink of an eye, the sky was filled with a rain of blood. The first wave of Maras that charged at Lin Muyu had all been killed, while he himself was unharmed. He took a deep breath and muttered to himself, "The Radiance armor technique is still very powerful." The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Xiao Qinyin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing, and others were all stunned. This was not the Lin Muyu they knew before. At this moment, Lin Muyu was simply too strong. "Bastard!" Ziyan roared, and the god-destroying tower in his hand shone brightly. It was about to be launched. However, Lin Muyu did not give him a chance to show his power. He raised his finger, and suddenly, a heavenly light penetrated the clouds and went straight to Ziyan. It was the sword intent power of Ao sword tactics. "What?" Ziyan let out a low roar, raised his arm and swept it horizontally. Boom! Sparks rose in the air and Lin Muyu's sword chi was forcefully slapped away. However, Ziyan wasn't any better off. His arm was red and numb from the impact. If he didn't rely on the god-destroying pagoda, and only relied on his own strength to fight against Lin Muyu, Ziyan felt that he would probably end up like the 9 underworlds demon monarch within 10 moves. "What are you waiting for?" Ziyan roared. "Kill them! All of you, kill them all! Demon king of the 9 underworlds, follow me to deal with the gods of the Eastern God realm." Yes, countless saint kings and demon generals raised their weapons, and with demonic flames, they turned into beams of fiery light and charged towards the ground. Finally, a full-scale battle had begun, and it was no longer just one-on-one duels. In the air, countless Mara surrounded Lin Muyu. Obviously, the demon world wanted to use their advantage in numbers to entangle her and get rid of the other righteous gods first. Naturally, Lin Muyu would not let them have their way. She brought her palms together before her chest and formed a seal. In an instant, countless sword chis flew out from her body and shot towards the ground. Along the way, countless demonic luos were killed by the sword chis. There was no one who could stop her. She broke through the blockade like a golden fireball. Even the demonic generals were no different from the demonic luos. Their bodies were shattered just like that. On the ground, there were already tens of thousands of Mara who had landed and were fighting with the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and the others. On the lone peak, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi and the others carried raging flames and light as they descended. In the blink of an eye, it became a chaotic battle. Feng Jixing stood in the forest on the lone peak. He raised his palms and roared, "Wind manipulation!" Hundreds of meters above the ground, a storm swirled and tore rows of Mara into pieces. At the same time, a ray of light descended from the sky and pierced through the storm that Feng Jixing had summoned. Even Lin Muyu, who was holding a sword will, was startled. He couldn't help but smile in surprise. "Brother Feng, you've ascended?" Feng Jixing laughed. "That's right. Let's fight first." Shwa. A cold light flashed past, and a demon general behind Lin Muyu was pierced through the heart. Wei Chou also appeared, holding the Hou-Yi bow. He smiled and said, "Lord, there's still me." Good, good, good. Lin Muyu was overjoyed. Her palms trembled as a powerful blood-red lightning exploded in the air like a storm. The power of Saint's martial arts is a power that only kind-hearted people can wield, so Lin Muyu activated it without hesitation. People from the demon realm can't wield this power. Instead, Feng Jixing, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, and the others' potential were greatly stimulated, becoming even more powerful and invincible. On the ground, a flame exploded. This was the 9 Serenities Demon King's attack on Xiao. His demonic flame was much stronger than other demons. His several 100,000 years of cultivation was extremely pure. Even though his wounds haven't fully healed yet, he was still able to fight evenly with impartial goddess Xiao. The power of the domain fluctuated in the air. Lin Muyu swooped down with a sword will in her hand and shouted in a low voice, "I didn't kill you yesterday, yet you still dare to come?" "What?" The 9 Serenities Demon King trembled, and felt a chill on his head. It was an attack from Lin Muyu, a familiar attack. Pung! It was difficult for people who were locked by the sword domain of the AO sword tactics to escape. The Nine Serenities Demon King exhausted all his strength, but couldn't break free from the shackles of the sword domain. He was directly hit by the sword. He exploded into pieces. This old monster from the depths of the demon realm never thought that he would end up like this. Xia was slightly shocked. She couldn't help but look behind Lin Muyu and said, "Be careful of the god-destroying tower." Lin Muyu was also stunned. Ziyan in the air had already taken out the god-destroying tower. The tower spun rapidly and the demonic flame spewed out. It suddenly attacked the direction of Lin Muyu. Even Xiao was within the attack range. After being locked, she couldn't move and could only take it head-on. The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor smashed a holy king with his axe. He turned around and was shocked. Xiao! He flew over and was about to use his body to block the god-destroying tower again. However, a gentle force in the air pushed him away. Lin Muyu said in a low voice, "Brother Demon Emperor, step aside. Let me do it." Ah! The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor was stunned, but it was obvious that Lin Muyu wasn't joking. He wouldn't do this if he didn't have absolute confidence. Peng! Lin Muyu stepped on the void and flew towards the light of the god-destroying tower. At the same time, he put his palms together and looked calmly at Ziyan in the distance. Beams of sword intent revolved and condensed around his body. In the blink of an eye, they gathered in front of his body. There were more and more sword auras. Soon they overlapped into a diamond-shaped giant shield formed by the power of the sword domain. It was bright and full of righteousness. Sword domain shield. Let's see if you can block it. There wasn't such a move in the AO sword technique. This was a move that Lin Muyu created by flexibly using the AO sword technique. She used the overlapping power of the sword domain to form a heavy shield to receive the opponent's fierce attack. The AO sword technique was just a general mental cultivation method. Only a martial god like Lin Muyu could understand the myriad changes within it. Die! Ziyan's roar came from the sky. The energy of the god-destroying tower officially exploded. Heaven and earth turned dark. The power of the entire demon domain was completely absorbed at this moment. Boom! The light beam bombarded the sword domain shield. Suddenly, the power of the first layer of the sword domain collapsed instantly. However, there was still the second layer, the third layer, and even more. Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. Her face was covered in sweat. She pushed the sword domain shield forward and approached the god-destroying tower. Although the power of the god-destroying tower was powerful, it only destroyed less than half of the sword domain shield. On the contrary, Lin Muyu sent the sword domain shield straight to the front of Ziyan and shouted, "Explode!" Bang! This huge energy shield actually exploded and turned into countless sword lights that raged in the sky. In an instant, countless people from the demon domain were killed. Ziyan didn't expect that Lin Muyu's move would be a defensive move with an offensive move. He could only use the shield power of the god-destroying tower to resist. In the blink of an eye, the light of the god-destroying tower dimmed a lot. Swish! Lin Muyu raised her hand and pulled out the Xianyuan sword. The sword light shone brightly, and her figure attacked like lightning. She slashed at Ziyan's arm that was holding the god-destroying tower. In the loud sound, the light of the god-destroying tower became even dimmer. The power of the god-destroying tower that was used to protect him had been severely depleted. Clang, clang, clang. It was another 3 consecutive strikes. Ziyan was forced to retreat continuously. His face was full of shock. At this moment, Lin Muyu was worthy of the title of martial god. Who in the world could be this kid's opponent? Even the gods of the realm beyond Avalon would have to concede defeat against such a powerful attack from the heavenly might. Without waiting for Ziyan to go far away, Lin Muyu raised her hand and used the AO sword art again. Countless sword intents bombarded on Ziyan's protective aura. This lord of the demon domain had never been in such a sorry state. He held the god-destroying tower and retreated. At the same time he shouted, "Protect the god-destroying tower. Kill them all. Kill them all." Between heaven and earth, countless Mara's army came with the pressure of Mount Tai. "You don't chase too far." On the ground, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor shouted loudly, and the corresponding voice was the voice of Baifeng Holy King. Protect His Majesty Ancestor Emperor and retreat. Stop them. At this time, Lin Muyu had also consumed more than half of her divine power. She took a deep breath and carried the Xianyuan sword to attack back. Her body was full of sword aura, and no one could get close to her. The power of the Ao sword art could be said to be fully exerted. And under the power of the holy martial arts, Qin Yin Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing, Wei Chou Chu Chu, and other righteous gods were completely invincible. Each of them showed their magic power and fought with the army of Mara. In the blink of an eye, the ground was covered with a few thick layers of Mara's corpses. This was a great victory for the Eastern divinity. No one retreated. Nearly 300 people chased after tens of millions of Mara and attacked crazily. This battle lasted for a whole night. It was not until the next day when the sun pierced through the clouds that Mara's remnant army retreated. And not Haishan had been covered by Mara's corpse. The thick smell of blood was very pungent, but everyone who was covered in blood laughed. This battle was too rare. It was the beginning of the decline of the demon domain. On the peak of the mountain, the 7 luminaries demon emperor sat down on a rock. "Io, let's rest for a while. I'm so tired." Lin Muyu also descended from the sky. She shook her arm lightly and burned all the blood on the long sword. Then she sheathed it and walked over on the rocks. There were only 2 little beauties in her eyes. She opened her arms and hugged them. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi also hugged him tightly. After a whole night of fighting, they actually didn't have a chance to hug each other. Cough cough, Feng Jixing coughed. Chu Yao chuckled. The 7 luminaries demon emperor wiped the blood on his face and said, I originally thought you would snatch the god-destroying tower. I tried, but I failed." Lin Muyu was a little helpless. She spread her hands and said, "A radiance armor technique and a sword domain shield almost consumed a small part of my strength. This directly caused my strength to not be able to break through Ziyan's protective qi. Otherwise, I would have been able to keep the god-destroying tower. Also, Big Brother Demon Emperor, you should have noticed a fatal flaw of the sword domain shield." The Demon Emperor's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, "The sword domain shield can only block 2 attacks from the god-destroying tower. If it is activated 3 times in a row, you won't be able to do anything, right?" "That's right. Ziyan is a fool. Ha ha ha, pack up and prepare to return Mount Deshang. After this battle, the demon domain will definitely retreat from Mount Deshang." Chapter 1249. In the afternoon, Mara's army had retreated from Mount Deshang, leaving behind only the ruined Hall of Deshang and the badly damaged Divine Realm Altar, Hall of Rites, Hall of Mental Cultivation, and Hall of Spiritual Wisdom. The gods slowly descended from the clouds. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's face was ashen. "Those bastards, they even burned down the divine herb garden we planted." Zi Yao gently landed on the ground and said, "As long as there are seeds, we can replant the garden of magical herbs. Fortunately, Mount Deshang is still there. It's already a great gift that they didn't destroy this spiritual mountain." Lin Muyu frowned. "Wei Chou, let's go patrol Mount Deshang and see if there are any ambushes left by the demon realm. Be careful." "Yes, my lord." The 2 flew away. Sun Feng and Qing Ping, on the other hand, looked a little gratified. The Eastern God realm needed Lin Muyu, Wei Chou, and Feng Jixing, who had been through hundreds of battles and had rich experience. Their arrival was like a welcome rain after a long drought. Qin Yin did a quick calculation. There were a total of 14 righteous gods and 183 useless gods on Mount Deshang, which meant that the Eastern divinity only had these kindling left. She couldn't help but lament that the Eastern divinity, which used to have more than 100,000 troops, had fallen to such a state. Gradually night fell. Xiao and Tang Xiaoxi found some food from the surrounding mountains and sent it to Mount Deshang by the rock. In addition, they had begun to repair the damaged houses. Even gods needed a place to live. This was inevitable. Lin Muyu and Wei Chou didn't go back for dinner. They were still searching around Mount Deshang. Stepping on a cloud, Lin Muyu's spiritual sense seeped into Mount Deshang. But all she sensed were layers of rocks that contained vast spiritual power. No matter how powerful the demon realm was, they couldn't penetrate every nook and cranny. Mount Dashang was formed thousands of years ago. Its structure was already perfect. It was impossible for them to invade at will. At this moment, Wei Chou suddenly raised the Hoi Bao and said, "Your Excellency, look over there." "What is that?" Lin Muyu hurriedly turned around, only to hear a familiar sound coming from the clouds. "Wait, don't attack first." Yes. Before long, a group of armored warriors riding on immortal phoenixes emerged from the clouds. Each of them held a weapon in their hands as they looked up at the peerless spiritual mountain that was Mount Dashang. At the front of the formation was an expert who was stepping on the void. He looked very familiar. It was Nangong Lai, whom they had not seen for a long time. He came from the sky, and around him was the divine power of a Mahayana heavenly god. Obviously, he had ascended. I haven't paid attention to the grimoire for a long time. I didn't even know that Nangong Lai had ascended. At this time, Nangong Lai had already seen Lin Muyu. He couldn't help but burst into laughter. He flew forward and said, "Your subordinate Nangong Lai pays his respects to Lin General. Why are you here with Wei Chou?" Lin Muyu was overjoyed. "We should be asking you that. When did you ascend? It was so quiet." "Just 2 hours ago." Nangong Lai's face was not without pride. He smiled and said, "Lin General, your subordinate is a second-grade higher deity. I have the title of God of Earth. I control the power of Earth. Since I have ascended, I don't have much to bring with me. So I broke through the barrier and brought 3,000 brothers of the heaven-punishing army to the Eastern Celestial Realm. I wonder if these 3,000 heaven-punishing army will come in handy? Not only will they come in handy, they are practically timely help." Lin Muyu was overjoyed. Although the heaven-punishing army had also suffered divine punishment and lost their divine power, they could still fly. Moreover, they were very brave. They were even stronger than the crippled gods of the celestial realm. Moreover, 3,000 of them just happened to appear when the celestial realm needed manpower. If this wasn't timely help, then what was? "Let's go. I will take you to see the 7 luminaries demon emperor." Lin Muyu patted Nangong Lai's shoulder. "Yes, let's go." When the group of heaven-punishing army saw their real master, they showed respectful expressions. After saluting, they followed Lin Muyu, Nangong Lai, and Wei Chou and flew straight to Mount Dashang. What? 3,000 heaven-punishing army soldiers. When the 7 luminaries demon emperor heard this news, he was already grinning from ear to ear. He strode out of the hall of Dashang and looked at the heaven-punishing army soldiers standing in the square. He couldn't help but laugh. They really sent a bunch of treasures. I was still worried that there was no one guarding the celestial realm. Now it seems that there is no need to worry anymore." Xiao chuckled. "Demon Emperor, these heaven-punishing army soldiers are used troops. Now that Nangong Lai has brought them to the celestial realm, are you going to reward Nangong Lai with something?" "Of course." The 7 luminaries demon emperor pondered and said, "Nangong Lai, now that the Eastern Celestial Realm is in a mess, I don't have anything to reward you with. I'll just give you an empty title and confer you the title of General Zhan Lai. You will be in charge of the Imperial Army of the Eastern Celestial Realm. Of course, there is no Imperial Army at the moment. When it is rebuilt, you will be the general. How about it?" "Thank you, Demon Emperor, for your reward." Nangong Lai knelt on one knee and bowed. "Get up, there is no need to be polite." At this time, most of the righteous gods and crippled gods had already gathered in the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Almost everyone was looking at the 7 luminaries demon emperor. He coughed and said, "This time, it was thanks to martial god Lin Muyu's timely return that our Eastern Celestial Realm was able to escape this calamity. In this battle, Yu's contributions are unparalleled. As for rewards, I really can't think of anything good to reward him with. How about we split the throne of the Eastern Celestial Realm's King of Gods in half? Me and you will each have half. Yu, what do you think?" Lin Muyu stood below the king's step and shook her head. She said, "There is no need, big brother. There is no need for that. Besides, I have long been indifferent to glory, splendor, wealth and whatnot. I can even give up the title of Prince Qin in the Shattered Cauldron realm, let alone the Eastern Celestial Realm's King of Gods who only has a dozen or so righteous gods under his command. It is said that mothers don't despise their children for being ugly. You are really an exception. You actually despise your family for being poor. Forget it, you are a martial god, a supreme god. It makes no difference whether you are rewarded or not. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor had a resentful look on his face. He said, You and Feng Jixing are people who have been through hundreds of battles. How do you think the Eastern Celestial Realm should deal with the current situation? Guard them first and wait for the ascended righteous gods to gather. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and continued. In addition, send people to investigate and find out clearly where the Devil World's army is, and where Ziyan is. After all, they only suffered some losses this time. But they have not truly suffered any serious injuries. The main force of the Devil World is still there. Yes, let's do that. Ziyao, who was at the side, said. In this battle, Ziyan was lightly injured by Ayu. So the enchantment he condensed in the God realm has already turned into nothingness. Now it is very easy to find his position. My northern heavenly will can easily find him. Don't worry, leave the investigation to me. Qinin said. Ziyan is constantly looking for new helpers and power. The 9 underworlds demon monarch is an example. In addition to the nightmare army that Big Brother you encountered, it is clear that Ziyan will not give up easily. Naturally, Ziyan is looking for ancient power. We cannot just sit and wait for death. In my opinion, we can also seek help. Oh, Xiao smiled and said. Xiaoyin, did you find something? Qinin smiled and said. Yes, when I investigated the order of the 6 realms, I found a very strong force in the ghost realm. This force originates from the quiet spring, and there is an awe-inspiring righteousness in the power. Therefore, I think that there are gods hidden in the quiet spring that we do not know about. We should send people to investigate. Maybe we will find something. Xiao nodded. You are the graceful goddess who controls the order of the 6 realms. Your senses cannot be wrong. Then, the Eastern Divine World will send some righteous gods to explore the quiet spring. The 7 luminaries' demon emperor said. Wait, Mount Desheng needs to be guarded by the main force. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if Ziyan returns. In addition, the reason why Mount Desheng was directly attacked was because Mount Dongming, the outpost at the entrance of the Eastern Heaven Realm, was captured. Therefore, I plan to send a team to rebuild the defense line at Mount Dongming. This requires manpower, and our biggest problem now is the lack of manpower. Sun Feng cupped his fists and said, I am willing to go and rebuild Mount Dongming. Qingping also nodded. I am also willing. Lin Muyu said, Weiqiu has the Ho-Yi Bao, which is very effective against powerful demon gods. It is suitable for defense. Let Weiqiu, Xiaoxi, and Big Brother Feng guard Mount Desheng. Demon Emperor, you Sister Xiao, Lu Kuei, Xiaoyan, and Nangong Lai will lead half of the Xingtian Heavenly Army to rebuild Mount Dongming. As for the rest, Xiaoyin and I will go to the quiet spring to look for new divine world powers. Xiaoyin can sense the order, and I am enough to deal with danger. The 2 of us are the most suitable. With just the 2 of us, will it really be okay, you? The Demon Emperor seemed to be a little worried. No problem. Lin Muyu smiled faintly. The quiet spring is located in the Ghost Realm. Demon Emperor, do you think the Ghost Emperors in the Ghost Realm are my match? That's true. Then let's go. I will be at ease if you are with Xiaoyin. The 7 luminaries' Demon Emperor waved his hand lightly. Then don't stay idle. Carry out your tasks. The rise of the Eastern Divine World depends on us. Yes, Demon Emperor. Everyone answered in unison. At night, the bright moon shone on the attic of the Hall of Great Accomplishment. Are we really leaving immediately? Tang Xiaoxi sat on the railing and asked gloomily. Yes, there are many things waiting to be done in the Eastern Divine World. We all have to contribute. But I want to go with you. Lin Muyu approached her and held her hand. I also want to bring you with me, but the Divine World is too short of manpower. You have the power of a righteous god, so it is better for you to stay here. Sister Chu Yao, Brother Feng, and the others will accompany you. The quiet spring is not a fun place. I have been there once, and so has Xiaoyin. It is safer for us to go together. Then you have to come back early. Tang Xiaoxi gently leaned into his arms. Lin Muyu caressed her hair gently, but his body suddenly froze and did not move for a long time until he turned into countless fireflies and disappeared in the air. That was the scene of a righteous god's death. Tang Xiaoxi tried to grab him, but she could not. Her heart was in so much pain that she could not speak. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Ah! Suddenly waking up from the bed. Tang Xiaoxi's body was surrounded by flames, almost igniting the bedding. Her face was slightly pale. So it was a dream. Mu Xiaoyin, please be okay. Chapter 1250. At midnight, the gates of hell opened. The inside of the gates of hell was filled with black mist, and one could even faintly hear the cries of ghosts and gods, making one's hair stand on end. Fortunately, it wasn't the first time Lin Muyu and Qinin had come here, so they weren't that afraid. Swish swish. Two figures dragged the golden flowing light of the Mahayana heavenly Tao into the gates of hell. In the distance, a long line of people went straight to the bridge of helplessness in the distance. The 6 realms were in chaos and there were many wars. The business of the ghost realm was getting better and better. Countless ghost soldiers drove ghosts to walk on this road to the Yellow Springs, and one could hear the sounds of beatings and wailing at every turn. Lin Muyu flew at a low altitude with Qinin, and looked at everything in the ghost realm with a frown. There were so many dead souls here, which could only mean that the number of dead in the mortal world was innumerable. Who is it? A huge black shadow shouted in the air. It was a ghost dragon leader. Under the light, Lin Muyu saw his appearance clearly. It was extremely ugly, so she said, "We are from the Eastern Divine Realm, and we want to go to the Nether Spring to investigate something." The ghost dragon leader also discovered the identity of the two, and immediately said respectfully, "So it's the 2 immortals. It's just that the rules of the 6 realms are like iron. Even immortals shouldn't enter the ghost realm. I hope the 2 immortals can understand. This lowly one can't let you enter the lower ghost realm." Qinin smiled faintly, and gently raised her palm. The power of law was dense in her palm, and she said, "The order of the 6 realms is in my control. I think I can be exempted from this, right?" You are the graceful goddess Qinin?" The ghost dragon leader was shocked, and hurriedly bowed respectfully on the dragon's back, and said, "If it's the graceful goddess, then please come in. Please forgive this lowly one for being blind." Lin Muyu smiled at Lin Muyu, grabbed his hand, and flew through the air, heading straight for the lower purgatory. But just as they were about to enter the entrance to Inferno, another group of people blocked their way. This time, it was a group of people dressed in golden armor. They were the abyssal prefects of the ghost realm. These were existences that were second only to the 3 ghost emperors. However, in the eyes of Lin Muyu and Qinin, these abyssal prefects were far too weak. They were the kind of people who could easily take on 10 abyssal prefects at once. "Exalted immortals, please wait." An official lord carried a huge shovel and said, "I'm the Hengyang official lord. May I know why the 2 of you are heading to the 18 levels of purgatory?" Lin Muyu said, "We discovered an anomaly in the Netherworld Spring, so we want to investigate it. This is also for the good of your ghost realm. I hope you won't stop us." "Exalted immortal, the affairs of the ghost realm will naturally be handled by the ghost immortals of the ghost realm. There's no need for the gods of the Mahayana heavenly path to intervene. I hope you can focus on how to fight against the devil realm. The ghost realm doesn't need you to intervene." Lin Muyu raised his hand and pulled out the Xianyuan sword. For a moment, the patterns on the sword flowed endlessly and were incomparably dazzling. The power of the Saint martial arts was extremely mighty. "Exalted immortal, what do you want to do?" The Hengyang official lord was shocked. "If the soft approach doesn't work, then the hard approach. What do you think I want to do?" Lin Muyu said lightly. He didn't want to waste time here. Anyway, he had already caused havoc in the ghost realm once, so he didn't mind doing it again now. Qinin also pulled out the Donghua sword with a smile, and stood side by side with Lin Muyu in the wind, ready to cause havoc in the netherworld. The Hengyang official lord's face was extremely ugly. He said, Although we are not as strong as the exalted immortal, the dignity of the ghost realm official lord cannot be blasphemed. Since the two exalted immortals want to fight, then let's fight. The 5 official lords all took out their weapons, and around them the densely packed ghost dragon leaders, ghost soldiers, and ghosts also approached one by one, ready to attack Lin Muyu and Qin Yin at any time. You really dare to fight? Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. He suddenly opened his left hand and shouted in a low voice, "Heaven and earth, listen to my command." The light of the blood-red thunder surged, and the power of the Saint martial arts erupted. Suddenly, the bodies of the 5 official lords couldn't move. Lin Muyu's arms sank slightly, and their bodies crashed into the ground, creating a large pit. Each of them looked very embarrassed. Although their lives were not in danger, it was embarrassing enough. In front of a group of his subordinates, they didn't even have the power to fight back. Bang, bang, bang. With 3 consecutive sounds, Lin Muyu used the bodies of the 5 official lords to create a large pit in the ground that led straight to the 18th level of hell. Then he raised his hand and threw the 5 official lords into the air. He smiled and said, "Xiao Yin, let's go down." Yes. Facing the blood-red ghost flames, the 2 righteous gods flew down. In the depths of the well of reincarnation, one of the 3 ghost emperors, the ghost emperor of 5 directions, slowly opened his eyes. There was a trace of helplessness in his blood-red eyes. He said, "That brat you. Why doesn't he go through the front door? It seems that the idiot Weeping Blood is going to clash with you again." Before he finished speaking, the voice of an official lord came from outside the stone door. "Your Majesty, there is news from above that 2 righteous gods have broken into the 18th level of hell. Should we go and have a look?" "What are you looking at? What's there to look at?" The ghost emperor of the 5 directions stretched lazily. "The 18 hells are Weeping Blood's territory. It has nothing to do with us. If there's any crime, let that old bastard Weeping Blood suffer. Have you forgotten that he tried to take over my territory last month? Weeping Blood's cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds recently. It's a good time to let him know that there's always a higher mountain out there. But the 3 ghost emperors are on the same side. Isn't that a little inappropriate? Cut the crap. Wake me up when the War God and Grace Goddess arrive at the Well of Reincarnation." "Your Majesty, how do you know that they're the War God and Grace Goddess? Even the War God is here. Shouldn't we inform His Majesty Weeping Blood about this?" "Inform my ass. I'd be happy to see him get a good beating." "Yes, Your Majesty. I'll get to it right away." "What are you going to do? There's nothing for you to do. Go back to sleep." "Yes." Boom. The earth trembled, and a giant hole appeared in the purgatory. When Lin Muyu broke through the 11th purgatory, the main character could no longer sit still. Amidst the fiery wind and clouds, figures appeared one after another on the land of the 11th purgatory. Among them, there were countless prefects, ghost dragon leaders, and even a ghost emperor. It was the legendary Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor, the ghost god that Lin Muyu had met once before. "Stop!" Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor roared. His voice actually formed a blood-colored barrier in the air. His strength was unfathomable. No wonder he was so arrogant recently, and even challenged the ghost emperors of 5 directions. Looking at the 2 righteous gods in the sky, Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor was stunned. "Why do you look so familiar? What's wrong? Don't you recognize me, Your Majesty?" Lin Muyu smiled. "So it's you, Lin Muyu." Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor was shocked. He originally didn't know the identity of the 2 righteous gods, but he recognized Lin Muyu. In this world, who didn't know that Lin Muyu was conferred the title of martial god by the Mahayana Heavenly Tao? Even the remote ghost realm knew that there was only one martial god in this world. You, Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor trembled with anger. "As a martial god, why did you come to smash my 18 purgatory?" "I'm not smashing. I'm just passing by," Lin Muyu emphasized with a solemn expression. "The gate to the 18 purgatory is too hard to find, so I had to forcefully break through the spatial wall. This way, it would be more convenient. Xiao Yin and I have an important matter to attend to at Nether Spring. I hope Your Majesty won't obstruct us." "To Nether Spring?" Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor said. "Nether Spring is Donglin's territory. Why are you going there? Xiaoyin clearly sensed the disorder in Nether Spring, so as the righteous gods of the six worlds, we have the responsibility to investigate. After all, the matter in Nether Spring might be beyond the three great ghost emperors' ability to handle, so please don't obstruct us. Beyond the three great ghost emperors' ability. Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor couldn't help but laugh. Lin Muyu, even if you're a martial god, aren't you being too arrogant? Is there anything in this vast ghost realm that the three great ghost emperors can't handle? Since you're so arrogant, I won't be polite with you. Come, let me see how powerful a martial god is. Men, carry my blood blade. A few ghost soldiers came with a battle blade. The blade was as red as blood. No wonder it was called Blood Blade. Buzz. Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor suddenly grabbed the blade with a sinister smile and said, "If you can defeat me, you can come and go as you please in the 18 layers of hell. No one will stop you. But if you can't beat me, then sorry, there will be no more martial gods in the six worlds from now on." You want to kill me? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Why not? Then come. Lin Muyu didn't even draw her sword. She dived down and went straight for Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor. Come, have a taste of your father's blood blade. The blood blade streaked across the sky, and streams of ice-cold air swept over. It was bone-chilling. No wonder the blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor was so arrogant. His cultivation had at least doubled in the past few years, and he was already above the Ghost Emperors of the five directions. However, Lin Muyu's cultivation speed was even faster. She closed her fingers and slashed down with sword intent. 30% of her strength. Pung. As the sword collided with the blade, Lin Muyu raised her finger and slashed out 3 times in a row. Unexpectedly, the blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor was forced to retreat as his battle boots stomped on the flaming ground of purgatory. Ah! A trace of surprise appeared on his face. He didn't expect Lin Muyu to be this powerful. However, there was something even more unexpected. Buzz! Lin Muyu clasped her palms together and unleashed a huge sword intent. 60% of her strength. The hard ground exploded, and Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor's battle blade was directly blown away. Blood scars appeared on his chest. His body could no longer withstand the attacks of AO sword arts. Even the 9 Underworld's Demon King couldn't withstand the 60% attack of Lin Muyu, let alone a mere Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor. In the sky, 3 dazzling sword lights hung there, ready to take Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor's life at any time. Lin Muyu looked down at the ground and said indifferently, "Admit defeat, and I won't kill you." Weeping Blood Ghost Emperor lay on the ground with a pale face and trembling body. He said, I admit defeat. Martial God, please spare my life." That's right. Lin Muyu flipped her palm, and the power of AO sword arts dissipated. She said, "Xiaoyin, let's go down." Chapter 1251. The Valley of Fallen Gods was one of the many spiritual mountains in the Eastern Divine World that was close to the border. Now it had become a temporary base for the demon world. Millions of Mara were hovering in the sky, bustling with activity. On the peak of the mountain, a group of holy king and demon generals stood there respectfully, surrounding one person. This person was naturally Ziyan. His expression was gloomy as he held the god-destroying tower and said, "In this battle, how many of Mara's troops did we lose? Answer me truthfully." A demon general said, "Nearly 7 million, your majesty." 7 million. Ziyan's eyes were filled with deep hatred. A mere battle cost me 7 million Mara's troops. What a martial god. What a mad god. I will turn you into ashes sooner or later. Just you wait. Holy King Baifeng said in a low voice, "Your majesty, the enemy is strong while we are weak. Lin Muyu's holy martial power is incomparably strong, and can raise a mortal's cultivation to the god realm. Our Mara is not even worth mentioning in front of these righteous gods. Our advantage in numbers cannot be shown at all. In my opinion, why don't we return to the demon world, and continue to cultivate the god-destroying tower to nurture stronger demon gods?" "What did you say?" Ziyan grinned coldly. "Baifeng, I know you have good intentions, but if you dare to say such words again, I guarantee that you will suffer a fate worse than death. Your subordinate, Your subordinate knows his mistake. Bai Feng took a few steps back and knelt on the ground. The group of Holy King Bai Feng said in unison. Holy King Bai Feng was just speaking without thinking. Your Majesty, please forgive us. Humph. Ziyan looked at the glowing god-destroying tower and said, Lin Muyu, the 7 luminaries demon emperor. And the rest think that the demon world only has the weak Mara. They are gravely mistaken. I will prove to them how powerful the demon world is. Bai Feng was stunned. Your Majesty, you have a plan? That's right. Ziyan looked up at the sky and said, Why is the heavenly path of the Mahayana plane called the heavenly path of the Mahayana plane? That's because there are 3 ancestral gods protecting the people of the 6 realms. On the Golden Mountain, which is known as the Holy Land, Fuxi and his 4 disciples have been resisting the devouring of the nether servant behemoth. Fuxi is like a bright lamp that illuminates the gods of the 6 realms. This time, we won't do anything else but extinguish this bright lamp and use the divine power of the nether servant to create the strongest warrior of the demon realm. Let's see how the gods of the heavenly path of the Mahayana plane will resist. The strongest warrior of the devil world? Bai Feng was stunned. Ziyan laughed heartily and said, In the legends of humans, Goddess Nuwa created humans. Then, in the legends of the demon realm, it was ancestor Emperor Ziyan who created the demon race. The group of Holy King was stunned. No one knew what Ziyan was talking about. Ziyan stood up and held the god-destroying tower majestically. He said, Pass down my order. Holy King Haifeng will lead 5 million Mara to attack the Western Divine Realm. Holy King Han Yen will lead 5 million Mara to attack the Eastern Divine Realm. Holy King Hong Kong will lead 5 million Mara to attack the Northern Heavenly Realm. Execute this immediately and fight to the death. If you don't conquer these 3 realms, you don't need to come back. Yes, Your Majesty. The 3 holy kings turned around and gathered the army of the devil world, as if they were under a mind manipulation spell. What are we doing? Bai Feng asked in shock. What are we doing? Ziyan chuckled and said, You will know very soon. Bai Feng, gather all the demon generals and holy king level experts. Follow me to attack gold in half a day. I want the 4 realms to know the determination of the devil world, and pull out Fuxi, this guiding light. Bai Feng, yes. Half a day passed quickly. Not long after, Ziyan led the army of the devil world and rushed into the sky. Their target was gold. On gold, the flowers of a few holy trees were falling one after another. These flowers were glowing with a faint golden brilliance, and were incomparably holy. However, they were still withering as if foretelling something big was about to happen. Master, they are coming. Fan Yang cupped his fists and said, Ziyan's current strength has reached an unimaginable level. With the help of the god-destroying pagoda and the god-beast Shiming, I'm afraid we will not be able to stop them. Fuxi stood under a towering holy tree. He was dressed in a white robe and had the demeanor of an immortal. He said calmly, Master has ordered us to guard this place. This is our fate. If fate dictates it, we will not be able to escape. Once we leave, gold will definitely be devoured by the god-beast Shiming. Then the Eastern Realm will be devoured next. At that time, the entire 6 realms will not be able to escape the fate of being devoured. How will we face the common people? How will we face the gods of the heaven beyond heavens? But Mei Yu frowned and said, Master, why is it that only our sect has to bear all of this? Fuxi nodded and said, This is fate. The gods of the realm beyond heaven aren't omnipotent and omniscient. The demon world has come too quickly, and perhaps even Master didn't expect it to be like this. We have to survive this tribulation. And even if we can't, we still have to prepare the formation. If Ziyan wants to kill us, we can't let Shiming continue to devour us. Wanxing looked at Fuxi worriedly and said, Master, don't say any more. Set up the formation. They are coming. Yes. In the sky, dark clouds rolled over. The people of the devil world had really come. Apart from that, a loud roar came from the horizon. It was the angry roar of the god-beast Shiming. It was ready to attack gold again. They are coming. Fan Yang lightly swung his treasured sword and stepped on the star position. he said, "Be careful." Fushi stood on the main star position and looked at the devils in the sky with a calm expression. With a light wave of the infinite sword in his hand, a huge light from the formation soared into the sky and protected the whole of gold from being invaded. In the clouds, the Devil World's army was ready to fight. A person flew forward and held the god-destroying pagoda in his hand. He smiled and said, "Heavenly Emperor Fushi, you once commanded the 4 great god realms and were known as the #1 person in the 6 realms. How does it feel to be surpassed?" Fushi smiled faintly and said, "Wind is everywhere. You can surpass it for a moment, but can you surpass it for a lifetime? Ziyan, as the Devil Lord, why don't you think for the Devil World and make such a big fuss? Do you think the Mahayana Heavenly Tao will let the Devil World go?" Ziyan laughed loudly and said, "Don't give me that. You make it sound like you will let the Devil World go if I don't kill them. You righteous gods have always been hypocritical. Our Devil World's war is called killing, but you killing the people of the Devil World is called eliminating demons and protecting the Tao. Do you have the final say in this Tao? In my opinion, everything I'm doing now is subduing demons. I'm subduing you hypocritical evildoers, and subduing your filthy inner demons. Stop talking nonsense and prepare to receive my attack." Fushi smiled leisurely and said, "You seem to be the one who talks the most. Damn it." Ziyan was flustered and exasperated. He suddenly took out the god-destroying pagoda and roared. The light from the pagoda soared into the sky, and the entire sky seemed to be illuminated by a deep purple light. The power of the Devil World was reflected rapidly and seeped into the god-destroying pagoda. It attacked the gold god-destroying pagoda with a vast heavenly might. That beam of purple light was incomparably tyrannical. Bang! The power of the god-destroying pagoda crashed onto the golden enchantment, and at the same time, the golden enchantment trembled. Fushi, Fan Yang, Miyue, and the others who were standing in the center of the enchantment also trembled. Even Hao Chun, who had a weaker cultivation, had blood flowing out from the corner of his mouth. It was just one attack, but the god-destroying pagoda had already depleted close to 30% of the enchantment's energy. "Hao Chun, control your mind." Fushi gently waved the immeasurable sword in his hand, bringing with it waves of peaceful ripples that filled the entire enchantment, calming the demonic thoughts and shock that seeped into the hearts of the 4 disciples. "Master, I'm fine." Hao Chun nodded. "And prepare for the second attack." Yes. In the sky, the second beam of light arrived in less than 10 seconds. This time, Ziyan was completely flustered and exasperated. He looked as though he would not give up until the god-destroying pagoda was destroyed. Boom! The light from the god-destroying pagoda crashed into the enchantment again. This time, the entire enchantment started to tremble, and the flowers on the saint tree at the back had already started to wilt. PFFF. Luan Xing and Hao Chun vomited blood at the same time. This attack had depleted the enchantment's energy to less than 30%. "Master, I'm afraid we can't withstand the third attack." Miyue's face was pale as she muttered, If little junior brother was here, how good would it be?" Fushi's gaze was indifferent. With some disappointment, he said, "You has his own mission to complete, and this is our mission. Hold on, the more energy the god-destroying pagoda is depleted, the more energy the demon world will deplete. If we die for the Mahayana Heavens Tao, it will be worth it." In the sky, Ziyan's fierce roar could be heard. "Damn it, it's still not broken. Sherming, you bastard. What are you waiting for? Swallow this god-destroying pagoda, quickly." Roar, roar, roar. The clouds rolled, and the huge beast Sherming appeared. Its huge mouth looked like it was going to swallow the heavens and the earth. It opened its mouth, and its ferocious fangs bit down on the golden enchantment. Pung. Sherming's fangs bit through the golden enchantment, but it was not good for Sherming either. He suffered the continuous backlash of the enchantment, and the corner of his mouth had already split open. Blood splattered, and he screamed continuously. "You're finally willing to appear." Fushi's brows relaxed, and he revealed a relaxed look. "Master, the enchantment can't withstand it anymore." Fan Yang shouted. Fushi said, "Don't panic." As he spoke, Fushi carried the immeasurable sword and flew up, facing Ziyan's third attack. Buzz, buzz, buzz. the god-destroying pagoda screeched, and the third attack was about to be unleashed. All of you go and die. Ziyan roared, and the pagoda pointed straight at god-destroying pagoda. A huge beam of energy flew out. But Fuxi, who was in the air, faced the attack with confidence. He suddenly held the immeasurable sword in front of him, and rays of golden light flowed out, causing the group of demon generals and the Holy King to be dumbfounded. They had never seen such a powerful god before. He actually used his own strength to fight against the god-destroying pagoda 3 times. 10,000 immeasurable techniques subdue demons. Fuxi shouted. Instantly, the beam of light from the god-destroying pagoda was swallowed and transformed by the immeasurable sword's light. Ah! How is this possible? Ziyan turned pale with fright. Fuxi spun and landed on the ground. The immeasurable sword in his hand suddenly pointed at the god-beast Shiming on the other side. He shouted, "Evil creature, since you have fallen into the demonic path, let me purify you." Hong! An extremely strong light shot into the sky, and the energy from the god-destroying pagoda 3 times exploded at once. Roar, roar, roar! The god-beast Shiming's body trembled and cracked, and its cries echoed in the sky. Chapter 1252. Golden lava-like energy flowed out from the cracks on Shiming's body. Shiming's body couldn't withstand such a powerful impact, and started to crumble. These golden cracks outlined his entire body that was hidden in the darkness. It was actually hundreds of meters long. This giant beast was really huge. Roar, roar! After a final roar, Shiming's body suddenly exploded, lighting up the entire sky. Damn it, despicable! Ziyan's face was pale as he roared. Despicable Fuxi, die you old bastard! God-destroying tower, 4th strike. This time, even Fuxi couldn't dodge in time. The god-destroying tower's light almost pierced through the hole of gold. With a miserable howl, Hao Chun, who had the lowest cultivation among the 4 disciples, had already fallen in the sky and turned into a shattered star. 4th junior brother. Miyue, Fan Yang, and the others were pale. Calm your mind and protect gold. Fuxi suddenly raised the infinite sword, and a huge Taishu avatar appeared under his feet. This is our calamity. My Fuxi sect will not perish here. Fan Yang, Miyue, and Luanxing raised their swords and released their divine power. They merged with Fuxi's power and formed an incomplete barrier. In the sky, Ziyan laughed loudly. What a joke. You think you're all righteous. Come, 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 let me fulfill your righteous act. God-destroying tower, 5th strike. Boom! Flames soared into the sky. It was only a single strike, but it had actually destroyed half of the barrier. Wah! Luanxing groaned and took several steps back. Her sword was broken, and her divine meridians were destroyed. She knelt on the ground weakly and murmured, "Master, disciple is useless." Swish, swish, swish. Her body started to turn into light and became a shattered star in the universe. Luanxing. Miyue's tears flowed down her face. She looked up at Fuxi and asked while crying, "Why? Master, why did you do this?" "Just take it as for the sake of faith." Fuxi raised his immeasurable sword again to receive the 6th attack from the god-destroying pagoda. Amidst the explosion, although Fuxi had blocked the attack, Fan Yang let out a miserable groan. His body fell into the starry sky along with the shattered corner of the metal, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. Senior brother. Miyue spat out a mouthful of blood. The sword in her hand had already been broken into 2. She muttered, "Master, what should we do? Master, what should we do?" Fuxi's robe fluttered in the wind. He seemed to have aged a lot, and the white hair on his temples had been replaced by silver. He said in a low voice, "Miyue, hide behind Master. Quick! Master!" Meiyu wept, kneeled on the ground and crawled behind Fuxi. "Fuxi, what else do you have? Just use it, or else I will kill all of your disciples." Ha ha ha. In the sky, Ziyan held the god-destroying pagoda and laughed maniacally. Holy King Baifeng, who was behind him, remained silent. She knew that the old man in front of her was once the ruler of the 3 realms. But now he had fallen to such a miserable state for the sake of the common people. It was truly lamentable. Fuxi ignored Ziyan. Instead, he raised his immeasurable sword lightly. Rays of starlight appeared beneath his feet. At the same time, the divine veins in his body shone faintly. He said indifferently, "One star jade light protects the common people." Buzz. Profound energy slowly rose, and a resplendent star condensed beside Fuxi's left leg. He continued to shout in a low voice, "Two stars opening sun protects the spirit light." A second star appeared under his armpit. Power continuously surged, but Fuxi seemed even older. He swung his sword and lightly stepped on the ground with his left leg. He said, "Three stars jade scale protects the common people." When the third star rose, Fuxi's face became even paler. Miyue's face was full of tears as she cried, "Master, don't use the 7 stars curse. Master, don't." The 7 stars curse was Fuxi's unique ultimate art. It could only be used once in one's life. After using it, one would be like a lamp that had its oil extinguished and turn into dust. Fuxi didn't listen to Miyue's words. He continued to step on the ground and said, "For stars migres size Rongzheng." "Master." Miyue's entire body trembled. In the sky, a ray of light shot down. God-destroying pagoda, the 7th attack. Pung! The fierce light blasted onto the 7-star seal in front of Fuxi, causing Fuxi's body to tremble slightly. However, the 7-star seal was still intact. 5 stars Fecta suppresses evil. The stars rose with a buzzing sound and landed on Fuxi's left arm. It was as if they were embedded into his body. 6 stars divine jade assemble seal. The 6th star rose. Ziyan, who was in the sky, was already trembling. He could sense that the strength of this old man in front of him had far surpassed his own. In fact, it had far surpassed the god-destroying pagoda. You are courting death, courting death." Ziyan roared angrily and activated the 8th attack of the god-destroying pagoda. Boom! The 7-star seal didn't move. Instead, it suffered from the backlash of the god-destroying pagoda. Some demon generals were killed. Fuxi's eyes slowly opened. They were as vast and boundless as the stars. He said softly, 7 stars dub he stands in the heavens. The moment his heel lightly knocked on the ground, the surrounding laws seemed to have been reconstructed. The sky was filled with golden ancient runes walls, causing the densely packed Mara to crash into the walls and shatter. The people of the demon domain hated this kind of righteous energy. They were already in a state of chaos. They were like headless flies bumping into everything. In a blink of an eye, more than half of the 10 million Mara that Ziyan had brought were dead or injured. "Enough. Enough!" Ziyan roared angrily. God-destroying pagoda, 9th attack. Boom! It was still unable to penetrate the 7 stars seal. Miyue. Fuxi's eyes turned hollow as he said, "Master's injuries are too severe. I can't activate the 7 stars curse's counterattack. Master." Cough cough. "Master has blocked the 10th attack of the god-destroying pagoda. You. Hurry up and leave. Master will use the Imperial Wind art to send you off." "Master, don't." Miyue held onto the broken sword and kept begging. However, her body was rapidly wrapped by a ball of light. She couldn't help but fly into the star river behind her. "Master, don't." In her remaining vision, Miyue saw Fuxi's pale face starting to crumble. It turned into golden sand and flowed into the star river. An unparalleled god had passed away just like that. Boom! The 10th attack of the god-destroying pagoda still couldn't break through the 7 stars curse's seal. Fuxi looked at Ziyan with hollow eyes and smiled faintly. "My disciples will definitely slay the demon and let evil people like you receive the punishment they deserve." The moment he finished his sentence, Fuxi's body disappeared with the wind. He turned into a wisp of sand in the star river. Nothing was left. Even the immeasurable sword turned into sand along with its owner. Ziyan stood in the air and trembled. He looked at the dark god-destroying pagoda, and couldn't help but curse. "Bastard! Bastard! You bastard! Why did you do this? Bastard!" Although he had won, he was still defeated. He wasn't happy at all. "Ancestor Emperor." Bai Feng flew over and said softly, "Ancestor Emperor, please calm down. Gold has been destroyed and Fuxi is dead. Our mission is considered a success. Ancestor Emperor, you don't have to be angry. Is it a success? Ziyan's mouth was full of hatred. What kind of a success is this? I played with this old thing in the palm of my hand. He used the power of my god-destroying pagoda to kill Shiming, and even used the 7 stars curse to make me helpless. What kind of success is this? Tell me, what kind of success is this? Bai Feng was silent. At this time, a holy king flew over and pointed at the light left behind by the explosion of the giant beast, saying, Ancestor Emperor, Shiming has gathered the power of the devil flame for millions of years. Its spirit bone is full of devil chi and the spiritual power of our devil world. Since Ancestor Emperor has cultivated the power of reconstruction, why don't you resurrect Shiming and use its spirit bone to create new warriors? That's right, that's right. I haven't completely lost. Ziyan suddenly turned around and looked at the spirit bone of the giant beast, saying, All of you come over here. Tens of thousands of spirit bones surged over, and Ziyan clenched his fist, instantly crushing the spirit bones into tiny pieces. At the same time, countless strands of demonic chi surged out, and when the entire Ming servant's body was split into 4 small figures, Bai Feng and the other Saint King level demon realm experts were all stunned. The strength of these 4 meatballs was enough to make one's hair stand on end, and together, they were far stronger than the Ming servant itself. Evil aura. They had absorbed the evil aura of the God World War to become so strong. Bai Feng's eyes were indifferent, but there was a hint of hatred between his brows. These balls of energy were like water, but also like meat. The only thing that didn't change was their violent aura. Once they were created, they were born to kill. When that happened, the 6 realms would probably be even more chaotic. Ziyan's mouth was full of a proud smile. He opened his palm and used his own devil chi to nourish these newborn, devil world warriors. Not long after, the 4 newborn devils had already revealed their embryonic forms. Each of them had a different expression, and their bodies had become huge. They were as tall as 5 or 6 people. They were all big guys, but the devil chi in their bodies was also very strong. Bai Feng, the Holy King, frowned and said, Your Majesty, won't their huge bodies affect their speed? You can try. Before Bai Feng's voice fell, a cold wind suddenly swept past behind her. A giant axe with a sharp edge was at her waist. She didn't know when, but one of the Devil World warriors had already appeared behind her. His speed was so fast that it could be said that he was silent. How is it? Ziyan's mouth was full of a proud smile. Do you still think that their bodies will affect their speed? From now on, they are the 4 heavenly kings of our devil world. No. Bai Feng sighed. The stronger the 4 heavenly kings were, the more chaotic the 6 realms would be. The terrifying thing was that the 4 heavenly kings were too strong. Almost every one of them was above the level of the devil king of the 9 underworlds. Ziyan didn't just absorb the spirit bones of Shiming in the star universe. He even mixed a part of the divine power of Fuxi, Wanxing, and Hao Chun in the remains of Jin. How could such a monster not be strong? Ghost realm, 18 levels of purgatory. Swoosh. The moment she rushed out of the flames, Lin Muyu suddenly felt her mind in chaos. She suddenly stopped in the air with a pale face. She murmured, What happened? What happened? What's wrong, big brother you? Qinin asked. I suddenly felt uneasy. Something must have happened, but I can't sense it. Qinin clenched her fist and said, I also feel that something happened, but I also can't sense it. This place is too far from the God world. Let's go, Quiet Spring is already here. We should finish the mission earlier and then return to the God world. Yes. Chapter 1253. A desolate forest lay on the ground. This was where the Quiet Spring was located. Back then, Lin Muyu and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor joined forces to defeat the guardian of the Quiet Spring, East Unicorn Ghost Emperor. Now several years had passed. Everything had changed, except for the deathly aura of the Quiet Spring. The ground was filled with ghost soldiers wailing miserably. They wailed all day long because they were vengeful spirits that had been forcefully kept in the ghost domain. Their bodies were enduring the torture of the 18 levels of hell every single moment. Even though they had become the Ghost Emperor's subordinates, it was the same. This kind of pain had not decreased by a single day, nor had it disappeared. The area within 10 miles of the quiet spring was guarded by a large number of ghost dragon leaders flying back and forth in the sky. There were even many ghost realm lords guarding the area. Lin Muyu and Qinyin couldn't fly in directly. They could only fly to the ground and negotiate with the guards. From afar, a pot-bellied official lord walked over with a spear in his hand. He said respectfully, "I'm the official lord of the East Sea under the rule of His Majesty the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor. May I ask what brings the two gods to the Nether Spring?" Lin Muyu said, "This lady beside me is Qinyin, the goddess of grace. She is in charge of the Order of the Six Realms, so she discovered that the order in the Nether Spring has been completely disrupted. We suspect that something big has happened in the Nether Spring, so we came here without permission. Please allow me and Little Een to enter the Nether Spring to investigate." "You two want to enter the Quiet Spring?" The East Sea Prefecture Lord was slightly startled. "Why can't I?" Lin Muyu was a little puzzled and asked, "Official Monarch, could it be that something unusual has happened in the Nether Spring? If there is, I hope you can tell us honestly." "There's nothing unusual, but..." The Lord of the East Sea official hesitated for a moment and said, "I dare not hide this from you, Martial God and Grace Goddess. In the past 2 years, the Quiet Spring has indeed been suspicious, and its hostility has increased a lot. The power from the Quiet Spring has also increased by at least 5 times. More importantly, the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor has been cultivating in seclusion in the Quiet Spring for as long as 3 years, and has not sent any messages to the outside world. I can only lead my troops to guard this place and dare not to be negligent." Dong Lin has been in seclusion for 3 years? Lin Muyu was stunned. "Yes. Ordinary ghostly immortals wouldn't go into seclusion for so long, right? No, the ghost god's body is cold in nature, so he must return to the surface every once in a while to absorb yang energy, so I am very worried. I suspect that Your Majesty Ghost Emperor has encountered some trouble cultivating in the Nether Spring, but as a subject, I cannot overstep my authority. I cannot enter the Nether Spring without permission, or it will be an act of betrayal. So that's how it is." Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and looked at the Lord of the East Sea official. "Your loyalty is admirable. How about this? Xiao Yin and I will enter the Nether Spring to investigate. This way, you don't have to enter personally, and you won't be accused of betrayal. When the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor asks, you can just say that Xiao Yin and I forced our way into the Nether Spring." The Lord of the East Sea official couldn't help but laugh. "Although I'm just a lord, I'm not that despicable. We don't know whether the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor is dead or alive, so it's reasonable for the two of you to enter the Nether Spring to investigate. There's no need for you two to force your way in. I'll take you there right now." "Then thank you very much." Lin Muyu was a little surprised. The East Unicorn Ghost Emperor was a very narrow-minded person, but she didn't expect his subordinates to be so understanding and reasonable. It was simply very surprising. Flying along the withered ground, the Lord of the East Sea official couldn't fly very fast. Lin Muyu and Qinyin could only fly slowly. The closer they got to the Nether Spring, the denser the Yin Qi became. So much so that Lin Muyu and Qinyin had to use their divine energy to resist it. Suddenly, the avatars of the martial god and the graceful goddess appeared faintly beside the two. The group of ghost dragon leaders and ghost soldiers were dumbfounded. It was a realm that they yearned for but could never reach. Soon, the huge entrance to the Nether Spring appeared in front of them, but it was guarded by a large number of ghost soldiers. "Disperse, everyone disperse." The Lord of the East Sea official shouted in a low voice. His prestige was quite good, so the group of ghost soldiers dispersed one after another. At the same time, they looked at Lin Muyu and Qinyin in awe. "Supreme Immortals, once you enter the Nether Spring, it will be very difficult to come out. Have you made up your mind?" The Lord of the East Sea official asked in a low voice. "Don't worry." Lin Muyu smiled slightly. She had been to the Nether Spring before, and naturally knew how powerful it was. But now that she was in Martial God, her state of mind had been improved several times. She was confident that she could come out of the Nether Spring unscathed. In front of them, the Nether Spring was like a mirror upside down on the ground. There were no ripples on the surface of the water. In fact, There was no water at all. The nether spring was called a spring, but it was actually an illusory world. Let's go. Lin Muyu jumped into the nether spring, and Qinyin followed without hesitation with the Donghua sword. Swoosh, swoosh, 2 ripples of light spread out on the surface of the nether spring. The Lord of the East Sea official looked at it quietly and said to himself, I hope you can solve the problem in the nether spring. Don't let the ghost emperor continue to sink. The light flashed, and Lin Muyu and Qin Yin had already fallen into the first layer of the nether spring. Xiao Yin, hold my hand. Okay. The two held hands and their minds were connected. This way, they could maintain the same state of mind in the nether spring. The first layer was the blessed shade world. The flowers and birds were peaceful, and the pedestrians were interwoven. There was almost no trace of hostility here. Qin Yin held Lin Muyu's hand and walked on the grass. She took a deep breath and smiled. It's so nice here, Lin Muyu nodded. Only those with pure hearts would be able to feel peace here. Otherwise, what they would feel would be empty violence and lust that had nowhere to vent. Buzz. Ripples surged in front of them. In the blink of an eye, the blessed shade world had disappeared and was replaced by the second layer, the lonely world. The surroundings had turned into a boundless desert. Not only was it empty, but it was also very boring. However, Lin Muyu and Qin Yin were not afraid of this level of loneliness at all. Swoosh, swoosh, a strong wind blew in the desert. It was so strong that they could barely open their eyes. However, Lin Muyu held Qin Yin's hand tightly and activated her sacred martial power to resist the wind. Then she said in a low voice, Xiao Yin, how are you? I'm fine. Qin Yin squinted her beautiful eyes. Her body was surrounded by dense order power. It was naturally not a problem for the two righteous gods to resist this level of wind. In the end, the wind that was originally intended to blow the two apart failed. The lonely world collapsed on its own. Swoosh. The two of them abruptly descended into the world of the third level. This level was a world of slaughter. Even though the two of them were holding hands, they could still see a bloody and chaotic battlefield in front of them. The faces of countless enemies appeared before their eyes. The silhouettes of the Ashen Crane, Lin Yu, Qin Yi, the Demon Emperor, Lei Chong and the others appeared one by one. They could even hear Lei Chong's furious roars. Go to hell. The battle axe swept across. Lei Chong's attack was still so forceful and overbearing. However, Lin Muyu was no longer the same as before. She hugged Qin Yin in her arms and shouted, You are not my match when you are alive. Do you think you can defeat me when you are dead? Get lost. Her shout turned into a surge of sacred martial power. Lei Chong's figure instantly disappeared without a trace. Lin Muyu flew forward with Qin Yin. She coldly looked at the enemies that appeared in the bloody battlefield. Lin Muyu, I want you to die. In the sky, a person roared arrogantly. It was Luo Lan, the only god in the mortal world at that time. She was also the culprit who killed Lei Hong. Lin Muyu raised her head and looked at him. Her eyes were calm as she said, You are just a willpower that no longer exists. Why are you still pretending to be mighty here? Luo Lan's figure then disappeared. Lin Muyu continued to fly forward. This was a battle of the state of mind. Obviously, none of these illusions could shake Lin Muyu's will. If she was so easily shaken by these enemies, she would not be a martial god. Soon many people appeared on the ground. Ji Yao, Lv Zhao, Sage Sovereign, Yang Shang, Duo La, Cheng Yu and the others appeared one by one. They all cursed and roared at the top of their lungs. Lin Muyu, return my life. Lin Muyu, I want you to die. Xiyin, you have no right to kill me. I refuse to accept this. I am the Empress. You are not worthy. Go to hell. Qin Yin, what kind of Empress are you? What kind of ruler are you? You are just a bad woman whose hands are stained with blood. Lin Muyu looked down at them. Qin Yin, who was in her arms, couldn't help but close her eyes. She had killed too many people. She didn't want to see it anymore. Her inner demons were stirring up trouble. Xiao Yin, don't think too much. Everything we do is for the people we cherish. Lin Muyu said gently. Yes. Qin Yin nodded. Lin Muyu raised her left palm and pointed it at the ground. Countless sword chi flew out. She shouted in a low voice. Under the heavenly Tao, you are all ants. What is there to talk about revenge? Die. Boom. The ground sank. The enemies in the chaos disappeared one by one. They successfully passed this level. Light suddenly appeared in front of them. The fourth level, the world of greed. Lin Muyu had seen the world of greed before. She immediately said, Xiaoyin, guard your will. This level's test is what you want the most. You must endure it. Ah. Qin was a little confused. When she looked down, her delicate body trembled slightly. She was completely stunned. She saw a person. She saw an old figure sitting in the depths of the palace. He was draped in an imperial robe and was reading memorials in flamboyant calligraphy. His expression was as peaceful and benevolent as it was in the past. It was just that he coughed frequently, indicating that he was not in good health. Father. Qin murmured. She unknowingly left Lin Muyu's hand and walked towards the palace in the distance. Xiaoyin, don't go. Lin Muyu shouted loudly. However, Qin couldn't hear her. The heart demon of the world of greed could only be resolved by herself. The scene suddenly changed to a beautiful spring scene. It was the hunting ground of the royal family. Peach blossoms were in full bloom. Under one of the peach blossoms, an 8-year-old Qin was holding a specially made thin sword. She was waving it with all her strength. Her palm was enshrouded with the faint light of the god-binding chains. On the side, Qin still looked like a middle-aged man. He was wearing battle armor. He smiled and said, Yes, that's it. Xiaoyin is really powerful. Cough cough, it's a pity that father's sword skills are clumsy and can't teach you anything. However, father will definitely find you the most powerful teacher. Xiaoyin, who do you want to be your teacher? Qin withdrew her long sword and said in a tender voice, Father, I want big brother Qin to be my teacher. His sword skills are very powerful. Qin couldn't help but laugh. That child Ale is powerful, but his sword skills are not suitable for you. You are a princess, the heir to the empire. It's fine for you to learn sword skills. But if you want to learn sword skills, do you want to be a female general who goes into battle and kills the enemy? Why not? Qin blinked her eyes and looked at her father innocently. Qin smiled. You can. As long as Xiaoyin wants it, father will find it for you. Chapter 1254. The scene changed once more. Qin had grown up, and her father had aged. Under the window, Qin was combing his daughter's hair with a doting expression on his face. He said with a smile, Xiaoyin is looking more and more like your mother. Just as beautiful, just as dignified and virtuous. Qin stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, I'm not virtuous. Qin couldn't help but laugh. But you have to learn to be virtuous. Don't spend all your time with Xiaoxi thinking about fishing, hunting, and practicing martial arts. Don't forget that you are the heir to the empire. You are the future ruler of the country, not some wandering hero of the pugilistic world. I know. Father, you're here again. All right. I won't talk about it anymore. Outside the window, Qin looked at her past self and her father, who had passed away a long time ago. Tears flowed from her eyes as she murmured softly, Father. Russell, Lin Muyu walked over from behind. He had already entered Qin's illusion. He gently held onto Qin's shoulder and said, Xiaoyin, this is all an illusion. You have to see through it. I know. With how intelligent Qin was, how could she not see through it? She bit her red lips and said softly, I just want to see him again, to see him and the family. Lin Muyu's heart ached. It was more than just heartache. Even he couldn't give Qin all his love. Qin's love for his daughter was unreservedly. It was a love that gave up on himself. There was probably no one else in the world who could love Qin like that. Swoosh. The palaces and pavilions in front of them disappeared one by one. Instead, a spiritual aura soared in the air as if it had penetrated through the depths of hell to reach here. It was a familiar aura. Oh my God. Lin Muyu's body trembled. As a martial god, he could naturally sense this aura. It was Qin. That's right, it was Qin. This aura originated from him. And it was not an illusion. It was the real Qin's aura. What happened? Lin Muyu looked left and right, puzzled. Could it be that Qin Jin hadn't been reincarnated all these years? His soul had always remained in the ghost domain? However, this wisp of aura was extremely chaotic. It shuttled back and forth in the space, as if it wanted to condense but was unable to do so. Pa pa pa. A strand of sacred martial power condensed in Lin Muyu's palm. He had decided to help Qin Jin condense his body. Sacred martial power slowly seeped in, greatly strengthening Qin Jin's soul power. Soon strands of long, white hair in a robe appeared in the air. Qin Jin was not wearing the royal robe that he had worn when he passed away. Instead, he was wearing an azure robe, which gave him the air of an immortal. He stood in the wind blankly, looking at everything around him, not knowing what to do. Imperial Father, is that you? Qin Yin's entire body was trembling, and even her voice was trembling. Lin Muyu said, "It's him, it's Imperial Father, there's no need to suspect." As he spoke, he strengthened his sacred martial power again. For a moment, Qin Jin sighed faintly, and slowly exhaled a mouthful of impure air. Then he looked kindly at Qin Yin and Lin Muyu, and said in astonishment, "Xiao Yin, you? Is it the two of you?" "It's me. It's me." Qin Yin rushed forward and hugged her father tightly. She cried, "Imperial Father, I can still see you again. I can still see you again." How could Qin Jin not feel sentimental? Tears streamed down his face as he said, "My Xiao Yin, my Xiao Yin. In this chaotic world, I've dreamed of you countless times. My Xiao Yin, is this real? I felt a power calling out to me. I know that you're here. I've finally seen you." Qin Yin raised her head, and with tears in her eyes she said, "Imperial Father, it's me, it's me. Where am I?" Qin Jin asked. Lin Muyu walked forward and knelt on one knee. She said, "The ghost domain's nether spring. The soul energy here is extremely vigorous, and it's precisely because of this that your soul was able to remain here for over a decade without dissipating. It's also because of Xiao Yin's sincere love that you were able to find this greedy world. So I'm still dead." Qin Jin looked at Qin Yin, and couldn't help but smile. He said, "However, I'm already satisfied to be able to see Xiao Yin again. Xiao Yin, you and you have both grown up. Imperial Father has a whole new level of respect for you." Qin Yin smiled tearfully. "Imperial Father, it's been over a decade. How can Xiao Yin still not grow up? How did you survive all these years?" Qin Jin gently stroked his daughter's long hair. He said, "I've always been in a deep sleep. Most of the time, I've been dreaming. You, and Ale appeared countless times in my dreams. What happened after that?" Qin Yin said, "Let Big Brother you tell you." You go ahead." Qin Jin looked at Lin Muyu. His eyes were also filled with fatherly love, although not as much as Qin Yin's. Lin Muyu nodded and said, "After Qin Yi murdered you, Imperial Father, he raised an army of 500,000 in Lingnan. He called it the Kingdom of Iha and crossed the Qinling Mountains to attack Songnan Province. Not long after, they surrounded Lanyan City. When Lanyan City fell, in order to protect Xiao Yin, Big Brother Qin Lei and Big Brother Chu Huayin died in battle. After that, Luolan went down the mountain and killed Great Deacon Lei Hong of the Divine Temple. The entire empire fell apart." How could this be? How could this be? Qin Jin blamed himself. "It's all my fault. It's all my fault for being too conceited. I thought I could control everything, but I didn't expect that I would still miscalculate Qin Yi. I didn't expect him to become like this, to become so vicious. What happened after that? What happened after that?" Well, it's a long story. To put it simply, Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, "After that, Tang Lan and Su Muyan sent troops to recover Lanyan City and put Xiao Yin on the throne. After that, the demon race appeared and conquered many territories. In short, we won in the end. The empire unified the eastern and western continents. Xiao Yin became the true ruler of the world, and the empire's name was still the Great Qin." "Oh, that's good. That's good." Qin Jin was clearly a little emotional. Even his fists were clenched tightly. He said, "But now, why did you and Xiao Yin appear in a place where only the dead would come?" Qin Yin couldn't help but laugh. Imperial Father, Big Brother, you and I are gods now? Gods? Oh, no wonder you're so powerful. You're even more powerful than those ghost emperors in the lower purgatories. Qin Jin didn't really understand how powerful gods were, but he knew that they must be very powerful. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to come and go as they pleased. Imperial Father, can Xiaoyin take you out of here? Qin Yin asked. No need. Qin Jin shook his head. I belong here. I can't leave. You should go to where you belong. But Qin Yin bit her red lips. She was still unwilling to give up. She looked at Lin Muyu with pleading eyes. Lin Muyu clenched her fists and said softly, Xiaoyin really can't take Imperial Father out of here. Why? Big Brother, you're the martial god. What can't you do? Qin Yin was unwilling to give up. Because this goes against the laws of the 6 realms. Lin Muyu said gently, you're the protector of the order of the 6 realms. You should know better than me that Imperial Father's soul has been in the ghost realm for too long. It's become extremely weak. If it weren't for my holy martial power, Imperial Father wouldn't even be able to say a single word. If we forcefully take Imperial Father's soul and leave this place to seek a way to be reborn on the surface, then it's possible that Imperial Father's last bit of spiritual sense won't be able to withstand the impact and dissipate when we pass through the planes. If that happens, Imperial Father will be completely obliterated. Then what should we do? Qin Yin was flustered. Lin Muyu thought for a moment and said, as righteous gods, we still have to use our power when it's necessary. Let Imperial Father stay here first. There are others who can do what we can't do. I'll ask the ghost emperors of the 5 directions to help rebuild Imperial Father's body in the ghost realm. We'll make him a true citizen of the ghost realm. Even if he's just a ghost servant, at least he'll be able to live in the ghost realm for a long time. This way, Xiaoyin, if you want to see Imperial Father, you can come to the ghost realm and you'll naturally be able to see him. Really? Qin Yin widened her big bright eyes. Really? When have I ever lied to you? Let me tell you, the ghost emperors of the 5 directions are very powerful. At least in the ghost realm, there's nothing they can't do. Wow, that's great. Qin Yin was wild with joy. Seeing how happy Qin Yin was, Lin Muyu was naturally happy as well. She respectfully said to Qin Jin, Imperial Father, your power is too weak. I'm afraid you won't be able to leave the ghost realm. Then we can only think of a way to keep you in the ghost realm. But you won't be bullied by anyone. Don't worry, Xiaoyin and I are very powerful. We're powerful enough to dominate the 6 realms. Qin Jin smiled faintly and said, I believe you. It'll be fine. As long as I don't sink into a deep slumber, it'll be fine. Imperial Father doesn't have any other desires. I'm already satisfied to be able to see you and Xiaoyin again. Amen. Lin Muyu nodded and said, Then please stay here, Imperial Father. Xiaoyin and I have to go to the lower planes to settle some matters. Then we'll come back to find Imperial Father. All right. Lin Muyu took Qin Yin's hand and left with her. Behind them, Qin Jin's body disappeared and he returned to his incorporeal soul state. At the same time, Lin Muyu sensed a wisp of divine sense probing this place. She couldn't help but smile and said, Ghost Emperor of the 5 directions, is that you? A voice came from the void and said, Aha, it's me. I pay my respects to your highness martial god. No need to be so polite. Lin Muyu said. You heard what I said to Imperial Father just now, right? Can you do it? Yes, perhaps I can even make him a judge. Don't worry, your highness martial god. Then don't stay idle. Come to the 12 worlds of the Nether Springs immediately, and take Imperial Father's soul away to reconstruct his body. Ah, you want me to barge into that old brat Donglin's Nether Springs? This Donglin has become much stronger recently. He's very arrogant. I don't want to get into trouble. What are you afraid of? Xiaoyin and I will settle the score with him. You can just come to the Nether Springs to receive Imperial Father's soul. Yes, I understand. Chapter 1255. At the bottom of the Netherworld Spring, in the Nirvana world, the vast land was empty, with only a huge spring flowing. This spring was the end of the world. Falling into the spring meant death, eternal death. In other words, this was the real netherworld spring. In the fog, they were getting closer to the netherworld spring. At the same time, the irritating aura was getting stronger. Qin frowned uneasily and said, "The aura of the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor seems to be everywhere. What is going on? What is happening in the netherworld spring?" "I don't know either." Lin Muyu raised his palm and released a raging flame to blow away the fog. Suddenly, the land gradually appeared. It was a swamp, with weeds and muddy water everywhere. His heart skipped a beat and he said, "Be careful, they are coming." Them. In terms of strength, the graceful goddess Qin was slightly inferior. After all, Lin Muyu was a titled martial god, and she was extremely sensitive to the danger of an impending battle. Sure enough, 2 gusts of air rushed over. It was the dimensional wind, a dimensional wind that was as sharp as a blade. Lin Muyu suddenly leaned back and dodged the blade, while Qin also dodged to the side. A low roar came from the fog in the distance, like a wild beast. What the hell is that? Lin Muyu felt the strength of the dimensional wind. It was not inferior to the dimensional wind that wind god Feng Jixing had unleashed. It was swift and fierce. He raised his palm and chanted the formless elephant spell. He yelled, "Come out!" Boom. The aura from Tian'er crushed the fog. Instantly, 2 huge figures hidden in the fog flew out. They were monsters that were neither human nor ghost. Their bodies were covered in scales, and their eyes were like copper bells. Their feet and hands had sharp claws, and their eyes were glowing. They stood on all 4s and roared at Lin Muyu and Qin. "What are they?" Qin was confused. They look like humans and ghosts at the same time, but their strength is not inferior to the righteous gods. Lin Muyu said with a stern gaze, "I can feel more than one soul aura in these 2 monsters. They are not just one person, but a fusion." Ah! Qin was stunned. At this moment a shrill, strange laughter came from the clouds. "Ha ha ha, a long time no see. Lin Muyu, you are still so perceptive. You did not disappoint me. You are truly worthy of fighting, he. The figure slowly walked out of the clouds. It was the legendary East Unicorn Ghost Emperor. However, compared to before, the East Unicorn Ghost Emperor had lost some of the domineering aura of a monarch. Instead, he had more hostility. His face even had the color of decay. Logically speaking, the Ghost Emperor was eternal, so he shouldn't be decaying. Lin Muyu looked at him and said sternly, "East Unicorn, what's going on with these 2 monsters? And what's going on with you?" The East Sea official said that you have been in seclusion for many years. Are you cultivating some kind of evil technique? Evil technique? East Unicorn Ghost Emperor couldn't help but laugh. This is the Ghost Realm, martial god. Which martial art in the Ghost Realm is not evil technique? They are all unique techniques that refine souls and take lives. Don't tell me that the Ghost Emperors of 5 Directions, and the blood-sobbing Ghost Emperor, are cultivating righteous martial arts. Besides, these 2 are not monsters, they are devourers that this old man has painstakingly cultivated. Devourers? What do you mean? You should understand that there is not only one soul in the body of a devourer, but there are thousands of them. Those ruthless and tyrannical souls have been wandering in the netherworld spring for many years. Wouldn't it be a pity not to make use of them? You are refining souls in the netherworld spring? Lin Muyu was stunned. That's right, just like that. The corner of East Unicorn Ghost Emperor's mouth raised, revealing a trace of a sinister smile. But all this is thanks to you and the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor. If it wasn't for you guys making me suffer such a crushing defeat back then, why would I have made up my mind to cultivate the spirit refinement cannon in the depths of the netherworld spring? Spirit refinement cannon? Look at these 2 devourers, they are neither human nor ghost. What you cultivated is not a god, but a demon, right? Is that so? East Unicorn Ghost Emperor tilted his head to look at his 2 creations and laughed. Their appearance is bad, but their hearts are still relatively pure. They have refined the souls of countless good and evil people. They are already very complicated. It is up to me as their father to guide them. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows. You have caused chaos in the depths of the netherworld spring. The disturbance of the laws and order, has even attracted the attention of the graceful goddess. I think you probably created these devourers to defeat me, right? What are you waiting for? Now that I am here, use your devourers or even yourself and fight me. Humph, what a martial god. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor waved his hand lightly, and instantly a blood-colored blade appeared in his hand. He laughed. If you want to challenge me, then defeat my sons first. These devourers are not as easy to deal with as the demon realm's Mara and demon generals. You have to be careful. I do not want to bear the infamy of killing a martial god. Also, graceful goddess, please stay far away. Don't be affected by the battle. I do not want to hurt you. Qinin frowned. Could it be that you really want to hurt Big Brother you that much? Not to hurt, but to avenge. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor chuckled. As long as I can defeat Lin Muyu, I will be the strongest god in the world. It doesn't matter if it is a ghost god, demon god, or a righteous god, the people of the 6 realms will look at me in a new light. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh and floated down, standing in the air less than 20 centimeters from the ground. She said, Xiaoyin, back off a little, don't get affected. Qinin was naturally very confident in Lin Muyu's strength. She stepped into the air and leaped nearly 100 meters away, looking at the domain that was about to become a battlefield. What? You're not going to draw your sword? If I remember correctly, your sword is the best of the famous swords, the Xianyuan sword. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor smiled faintly. Lin Muyu glanced at the 2 restless devourers and smiled. These 2 ugly fellows are not worthy of me using my sword. Besides, it doesn't mean that I'm not powerful even if I don't use my sword. In that case, then I will offend you. East Unicorn Ghost Emperor growled. You 2 rascals, defeat him for me. As long as you spare his life, the rest is up to you. Fortunately, this East Unicorn Ghost Emperor still had a trace of humanity, and only wanted to avenge the humiliation, but did not want to harm Lin Muyu's life. After all, the Ghost Realm also belonged to the 6 realms, and killing a martial god would not benefit the Ghost Realm at all. Roar roar. The 2 devourers launched an attack almost at the same time. Their figures flashed and disappeared into the dimension. Their speed was very fast, and they appeared on both sides of Lin Muyu like lightning. 2 sharp claws with dimensional impact swept over at an extremely fast speed. Lin Muyu was slightly startled by the speed of the devourer. This speed was probably not inferior to Ria's peak speed, right? Fortunately, Lin Muyu had the sacred martial power and the invisible elephant technique. Such a rapid speed was several times slower in his eyes, at least not to the point where he could not deal with it. A light flashed on his fingertips, and the proud sword technique was launched. Dang dang, like the sound of metal and stone colliding, the sword chi on Lin Muyu's fingertips blasted on the devourer's sharp claws, but could not directly cut them off, just like weapons colliding with each other. The devourer's physique was really tyrannical, and even this degree of endurance should have reached the level of the 9 underworld's demon king. In an instant, Lin Muyu had to look at Ghost Emperor Dong Lin in a new light. This old guy actually used that whatever spirit refinement cannon to refine such a monster. It was really not simple. In the blink of an eye, the 2 devourers attacked Lin Muyu over a dozen times at lightning speed. Although they did not deal any damage to her, it was enough to put her in a perilous situation. Lin Muyu's cloak was torn, and if it were not for the protection of her Saint Martial force, she would have been heavily injured. Dang, it was another fierce attack. The sword chi on Lin Muyu's fingertips bounced off the devourer's sharp claws for the 8th time, but there was a trace of doubt in her heart. These 2 devourers seemed to never know fatigue. After continuously running and attacking, their speed and strength were getting higher and higher, and they did not even have a trace of fatigue. Such an opponent was really a bit terrifying. In the distance, Ghost Emperor Dong Lin laughed out loud. Lin Muyu, don't try to use stalling tactics to exhaust the devourers. It's useless. They will become braver and stronger as they fight. Just use whatever skills you have. I believe that as a martial god, you are more than capable of this. Alright then, Lin Muyu smiled faintly. Her arms were filled with blood-colored lightning, and she suddenly raised the sacred martial power from 40% to 80%. She clenched her left hand into a fist, and the mental cultivation method of the AO sword technique filled the surroundings. She punched the sharp claws of one of the devourers as if she had foresight. Bang! The air suddenly exploded, and there was a deafening sound. The devourer was like a cannonball that was punched into the fog by Lin Muyu. There was a rumbling sound in the distance, and it must have smashed the swamp far away into a mess. This time, it was Ghost Emperor Dong Lin's turn to be shocked. He knew that the martial god was strong, but he did not know that the martial god was strong to this extent. What kind of monstrous strength was this to send a devourer flying with a punch? Roar! Another devourer rushed over in the air, and it was as swift and violent as an arrow that left the bow. Lin Muyu's body turned slightly, and her right fist was filled with the sacred martial power. She suddenly punched the other devourer, and there were even 2 devourer fangs left in the air. After spinning in the air for a few rounds, they slowly fell into the mud. There was a series of explosions in the distance, and it was the sound of the devourers sliding on the ground. The earth shook and the mountains shook. Clenching her fist, Lin Muyu said, "To be honest, I am a little disappointed. Is this all your devourers can do?" The East Unicorn Ghost Emperor's face was ashen as he said indifferently, "Don't be in a hurry to be complacent. It is just 2 devourers. If the number is 4 times more, with 8 devourers attacking together, can you still be so calm?" "Oh, 8. Lin Muyu smiled. "Come on." In the fog there was a roar, and black figures appeared in the air. Ghost Emperor Donglin was not lying. There were indeed 8 devourers, including the 2 that were sent flying by Lin Muyu's punch. They were only injured but not dead. No, they were not even injured. Their endurance was really scary. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.